that evening, Vesper had chats with Lydia and Ava, and then she had a chat with Finch while they were practicing her disguise. Jack was eavesdropping, and the next morning, Helio cast a little tiny servant, gave it to Finch, and they went into Womford, but when they got into Womford, there was a weird fog around it, which made all the fairy peoples exhausted, and they got into Womford, talked to a tavern owner, got some info from him, looked around. Anarchy checked out the Ironford Keep, super sus, but nothing too exciting over there. We decided to go to Barge Right In, and when we got to Barge Right In, Finch started asking around for who she could talk to get information. Talked to this vampire dude who sat near us at a table named Braun, and they were like, okay, we'll get you with the master, who turns out to be our local yokel, Eric Stillmarsh. And that was pretty much how 2 weeks ago ended. Last week, Finch and Vesper were interviewing said vampire yokel and found out he has an assistant named Azrael, who's this like old lady dressed in pastries and goodies and
Ooh,
whatnot. Yeah. And
that's weird.
we found out from Eric that she was being his assistant to help him find a super magical arcane catalyst so that he could bring Brodryden and Womford into the Shadowfell. So Finch was like, "Oh, can we talk to your assistant and get information?" Because her whole shtick was she was gonna write a song about Eric and try to make him seem like a really uh scary vampire or whatnot, blah blah blah. So he went to go get Azrael. To double back, when we were in Womford, Helio, for some reason, had this weird feeling in Vesper's pocket, like he was like it was like a banging sound or something. So he like dimension doored into the clouds and just kind of hung out there while everyone else went to the tavern. So when Eric went to go get Azrael, Helio could feel like something was watching him, and he noticed Azrael steering in the clouds, but when she realized he was looking back, she kind of pretended she wasn't doing a whole lot and just started meandering about Womford. And Eric came, they had a little chat. He left to go back to Barge Right In. She spoke to Ascending Stone and then left to follow him to Barge Right In. And Helio was like, well, that was weird. Okay, I'm gonna go in this direction because I think that's where my friends went. While they were gone, Vesper's assumption was the catalyst that Azrael wanted was her arcane focus. So she decided to dip from the tavern, and Finch and Ava stayed in the tavern. Ava was a cat at the time, just kind of being a little watch cat. And when Vesper left, she saw Helio, got his attention, used rope tricks to give them like a safe space to just kind of talk about stuff. She explained to him what Finch and Vesper heard from Eric about his assistant and whatnot. Vesper told Helio, "Can you go back into the tavern, get everyone's attention, and let's just GTFO from this place? Like, we need to get far away." So he did. He went inside. Eric, in the meantime, had bounced from his conversation with Finch and Azrael. And when Helio got close, Azrael realized he was near, and Finch told him to leave, and he was like, okay. But when he was trying to leave, he got attacked from Eric, and then combat ensued. TLDR, frogs happened, a Nightwalker happened, Azrael tried to kidnap Helio, Eric escaped to the basement, tried to get us to follow him, but none of us listened. Finch got turned into a T-Rex, we escaped on Finch, the entire city vanished, possibly into the Shadowfell. We don't know where it vanished to. we got back to Harshnag, and Vesper used the Sending Stone to tell Noxine what happened to Bardroiden and Womford, and we were getting ready to just camp to where we camped the night before heading north again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would Liddy have been there for the conversation that Vesper and Helio had in the pocket space?
Yes.
Um,
So she would have heard. Let me pull out my note about what Vesper said. So Vesper explains to Helio what she heard from Eric say about Azrael about being his assistant and trying to find a strong magical catalyst to bring the two towns into the Shadowfell.
Liddy would have contributed to that conversation by saying that awakened trees are often sought after as powerful magical catalysts.
Okay. Then that would have made a connection with possibly
Liverlost.
Liferloss and
She's
him
been
being
worried about Liverlost for a while, and that
mm,
might be why someone is after him or it.
okay. Maybe since Eric is in the area, maybe he would have had a connection to Queen Guh to try to get Liferloss as well, or at least a part of him.
Or, I mean, Queen Guh was speaking with an old woman.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So that could have been Azrael. Yeah. Um, so okay, so we could make that connection that Azrael was the old lady who approached Queen Guh. And then Helios said that he saw Azrael because Vesper never saw Azrael, and he described what she looked like and the fact that she had so many like sweets and bakery items on her. He warned her not to eat the sweets. And then
Not so much the sweets, the things on top of the
the
sweets.
things on top. Yeah, the things on top of the sweets. And then Vesper asked him to go inside to try and get everyone's attention to leave because we were a little too far for anything to happen really, and plus we were in our rope trick, so spells can't really go outside, so we couldn't message anybody. So Vesper stayed outside while Helio went inside. But Liddy would have also been there in Vesper's pocket for the conversation that Finch and Vesper had with Eric at the beginning about how he began working for the Zemtarum a few years ago. His goal was to bring Bardrite and Womford into the Shadowfell. And he said that Azrael came from the north. And,
okay, wait. I hate to interrupt, but I'm gonna take Mia. You're coming with me. I've got secrets.
Okay.
Secret.
Nice.
Secret tunnel.
Yes. Okay, they're gonna go on for a while, catching up, Kay, on what happened in the past 2 weeks. But hey, I've got secrets to share with you. Secrets. If you're here, hopefully.
Alright, I'm here. Sorry, it took a while to connect.
Okay, awesome. So, they're going to go on for quite a while discussing what happened in the past 2 weeks. So, in the meantime, in between time, I am going to introduce the beginning of this session. I owed you a blurb, and I didn't get the blurb done because of my horrible week, but I do have enough to... I've got enough to do a bit of an in-character conversation with you and Mulswa Harshnag. So give me 1 second to pull up my notes. Parfait. Alright. So, as you guys are camping sort of out on the kind of outskirts of Womford, I would say, everybody kind of like exhausted from the day, goes to bed, tired, just not really feeling it. But I mentioned at the end of last session, Harshnag kind of had this like dejected kind of sadness about him. And I would say you amongst all of them would know like the feeling he was kind of experiencing was this kind of like sense of loss almost. And as someone that has dealt with loss in your life, you would know like what that feeling like looks like and how it kind of like affects a person. And I would say you amongst everyone would be kind of like attuned to that and maybe be willing to provide kinship for Harshnag. And I would say, for one reason or another, I would say you would see Harshnag pretty much for the rest of the night, kind of just slumped over on a hill, kind of looking at the big crater where Bargewright and Womford were, kind of like still dazed by what happened, until he would eventually kind of like look around for someone to talk to. He'd kind of like look around, and eventually, I guess he would either seek you out or make eye contact with you or something, but would draw you in to talk to you if you would be willing to have a chat with Harshnag.
Yeah, I think when Alba realizes how dejected Harshnag is, he's not great at comforting people, but he probably would just go and like sit next to Harshnag's leg or something just to like keep him company.
Okay. So after a while of that, Harshnag will I also want it noted that Harshnag this entire time is petting his pet sheep, Mir. Just kind of, like, how, like, when you're kind of sad, you kind of hold your cat real close to you, and you just kind of pet it and kind of occasionally smell your cat. Like that vibe. And, okay. So, like, he'll eventually turn to you, and he'll kind of, like, look, he'll kind of, I guess I want to, like, think about how I want to phrase it. He'll look to you, and then he'll kind of point to, where Bargewright was, and he'll kind of, I guess maybe not like demand, but he'll kind of like sternly ask, like, what happened down there? What even happened?
Alba will sort of blink a little bit, like he's also trying to process it. And then I think he'll just sort of shake his head. We failed to kill the vampire. There was something else with it. Something even it was afraid of.
He'll kind of like think for a moment, and he'll kind of like look at you, and he'll look back at the town, and he'll say, I should have intervened. I shouldn't have let you guys handle that on your own.
Alba will clench his staff tighter and sort of like I know you have pride as a fighter, but I do not think you could have heard it.
He'll look a little bit like, not upset, but like a little bit like taken aback, and he'll say, like, it's not my pride as a fighter that means I should have intervened. All those people in that village, even if there was one innocent one, it's not fair. Whatever happened to them, it's not fair.
Alba will nod. Most things aren't.
He'll kind of like lean back and look up at the stars, and he'll kind of like look back at you and say, remember when we met, when I asked you about what the stars meant? I don't think I gave you a clear answer. But to me, I see the stars as fallen comrades, fallen small folk. Every single one is a life that has fallen on my hands. Each one I could have saved, I think.
will also look up, but his gaze is focused more on the moon than the stars. And he'll say, the desire to protect others I get it, how it can turn into the guilt that you didn't.
He'll think for a minute as you're saying this, and I would say after a while of like thinking, he'll he'll point to the moon as you're looking at it, and he'll say, "That represents my greatest loss."
Who was it?
He will kind of think for a moment, and he'll say, "It was Ven. Ven, a close friend of mine. Died several years back as we were protecting Neverwinter."
I don't usually get philosophical, but and he'll just sort of look up at the moon. That means that Ven is watching you. And I'm certain, knowing you, they aren't mad.
He'll think and he'll say, "If Ven is watching, then he wants me to save those people."
If Ven is watching, then he understands how inevitable loss is. I am also upset that we could not have saved them, but sometimes you have to consider that if you would have died on that battlefield as well, you can't save someone tomorrow.
When you say that, that will like kind of like connect with Harshnag a little bit more, and he will like he'll look out towards the crater again, kind of like averting his gaze from the stars at this point, and he'll I guess he'll kind of like he'll look like he wants to say something, but he kind of like he keeps like starting to say something, but then stopping, as if like he can't find the words for what he's looking for. But he eventually he stands up and he just points towards the crater, and he says, "I think I need to do something. We need to save them."
They're in the Shadowfell now. I don't disagree, but have you any idea how?
He'll look like slightly deflated and definitely like defeated, and he'll say, I know powerful wizards in Waterdeep. Maybe they can figure out a way, and if they do, then we can save them."
Ava is going to hug Harshnag's leg.
Okay.
And just sort of it will sound cruel of me. The odds of our lives still isn't high. We can seek vengeance for blood, but lives to save, I'm not sure there are many. Already, when the vampire spoke to us, he had mentioned more than half the town is thrall. In the Shadowfell, where he doesn't have the same constraints as here, I don't think half a town would be difficult to conquer before we get there.
He'll, think for a second, and then he'll say, but if there's something that even he's scared of, something even more terrifying than that, what do you think we're leaving them with? What fate are we consigning those people to?
I'll just sort of bundle himself up in his cloak form and almost shake his head, trying not to think about that. And I think sort of his generally peaceful, solemn demeanor will break a little bit, and his voice is a little bit more he hasn't thought about these words as he's saying them so much, but powerful beings like that, they aren't for people to mess with. They aren't something you can get things back from.
Upon hearing that, he's going to grab his axe and, you can see he's, further still, he just wants to, you can see, the expression on his face and the way he's been moving, he just wants to, run straight towards that crater and, hop into it, as if that will teleport him straight to the Shadowfell, even though it won't. And he'll say, maybe they're not for people to deal with, but I'm a giant. I descend from titans, of all people. I can deal with this. I can. People can't, but I can.
But if you do, who will stop the ordering?
He'll think, and he'll I guess he'll sit back down a little bit. He'll kneel. He won't sit back down entirely, but he'll kind of kneel. But he's just again, you can tell there's this big conflict in his head. He really, really, really wants to just sprint towards that crater, hop in, and then pray to some kind of being that it will take him, and so he can save those people. But at the other hand, he does realize that you're right. And he'll say, this isn't the first time the ordning's broken. At least not according to giant legend. Maybe it will restore itself again as it did plenty of times before.
Ava will sort of just look back up at the moon as he's clutching his cloak tighter and say, Sehanine, the Lady of the Moon, goddess I follow, she wishes us to destroy the undead. I'm not a stranger to the guilt, the anger, but the way that it
Did you cut out? Hello? Are you there? You might be dead. Oh no. Oh no! Discord crashed. Oh no. Welcome back.
Where did I...
One more time.
Where did I last cut out?
Oh, you were talking about destroying the undead, guilt.
Okay, yeah.
Before we continue, I have to share this. So I was gonna send a gif of, like, come back. And then that gif popped up as one of the first gifs for come back.
Oh, no, what is that?
And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't know what that's supposed to, like, why or how or who, but I hate it. But anyways, continue. I had to share that. I had to, because it was going to kill me if I didn't.
It's terrifying.
It is. It's really bad. I really, really don't like it. I really, really, really don't like it. And again, not sending it was going to kill me. Like, I would just live in the sheer pain of knowing that I didn't subject other people to that horrible, horrible image.
That is fair. That's fair. It's like the ring curse. You have to pass it on if you want to live.
Exactly. But, anyways, so yes. Undead, grief. That's where you left off.
There's a way that it controls you, that it becomes you. And it's not always bad. Sometimes that impulse is why you protect others.
He'll,
But it's also that which can lead you to your death.
he'll
So
nod.
is it you who seeks that path, or that which haunts you?
He'll like continue nodding, and eventually he'll sit back down and put his axe kind of in the ground next to him, and he'll look like resolute in his decision to not like sprint into the crater anymore, but you can still tell there's like a bit of doubt like in his eyes, and he'll say, all I want All I want is for small folk, for everybody to be safe.
Me too. But every and Alpha's like making hand gestures, like he's trying to convince himself of how to say this. The road to protecting others' life is a river. It's always flowing, but it is many branching channels. If you depart from the one we've chosen, the odds reconverge are slim. But when you measure your odds, which one is bigger? Town or the Ordning? I also want to go after them, but I suppose what I'm saying is, if you do go after them, make sure, before you depart, that you have a way to guarantee that path can reconverge where you need to be.
He'll finally just like lie back down, and he'll kind of, I'm trying to think about what I'll do. I guess he'll lie back down and he'll like look over at you and he'll say, what will he say? I guess he'll just kind of, he'll sit there in silence for a moment and just kind of think about what you said, really. I think that he needs a minute to process, because I think, yeah, I guess he'll finally, after taking a minute, he'll look at you and he'll say, all I want is, if there is a chance, then I believe we should take it.
From what I know about the Shadow Bell, is
Yes.
it like, how hard would it be to enter or leave it?
I would say you might not know exactly how hard it would be to enter or leave the Shadowfell from any given location, but I would say that you would know. I would say that you would know that there is, like, so since this place was just torn into the Shadowfell, like just now, echoes of it still exist. Like if you cast like detect magic on this area, you would see that, like, you would still see an echo, a faint magical echo of where the town once was. Like, you could still see that if you had, like, a detect magic type ability cast upon yourself. You could still see where the town once stood. You could see all the buildings and everything, like, as sort of, like, a faint outline. And you know that, like, the process of it being ripped to the Shadowfell might not... It depends on how powerful the thing was that did it. Might not be entirely completed. That it might still it might take some time. Like right now, it could be in some kind of limbo, in like one of the outer planes or something, on its way to the Shadowfell, but not there yet.
All right. Then Alpha will. Alpha will shake his head a little bit and then look back up to the moon, and I'm selfishly afraid of that thing. What it can do. But we all have those watching who wish to see us protect others, don't we? If you are going to do this, he's going to just don't do it alone, and just keep in mind what I said. And he looks really torn about saying this, but let us come with you if that's what Vesper and the others are all right with.
He'll look at you and he'll seem like unsure, and he'll say, "But that's the part that I don't think I can do alone. I don't think I can convince the others to come with me."
Can you hear me?
I can, slightly. You're kind of cutting out occasionally, but it's okay. I can make it out, mostly.
My internet, why are you doing this to me?
It's okay.
He'll just sort of look down like, I will try my best then, but in exchange, you should also agree, just as the stars and the moon are watching the actions you take. This group, they rely on you, and they care about you. You have to agree that you will also hear us at some point during this. We say that you have to turn back.
He'll nod, and I would say with that kind of with that, I guess not promise is the right word, but with that kind of with what you said, he'll lean over and give you the closest approximation of a giant hug. And he'll kind of just he'll have I guess not an excited look in his eyes, but a look in his eyes that is I guess more determined, he's ready and raring to go. And he says, "I can take care of getting us to the Shadowfell. I know I can. But I'll need your help convincing the others that we have to go."
All the nods.
All right, and finish what you were saying first.
Oh, I was just going to say, and with that, I think just looks towards the rest of the group with the same sort of determination. There's a bit more of that fear in him, but with one final look to sort of the moon, he'll steel himself and be ready to go.
All right. And I would say with that, Harshnag will inform you that he is going to get in touch with with some of his contacts and friends in the area, and that he will be back shortly with some kind of news. Perhaps it won't be the best news, but he is going to be back shortly with some way to get there. And I think with that, I will move us back to the other voice channel.
Fine.
Hello.
Hello, hello. We return.
Yeah.
I forgot we were doing that.
Oh yeah, it's D&D.
We were sharing
Yeah.
Halloween
Sharing Halloween
costume
stuff.
pictures.
Very exciting. Very, very exciting. Hey, so before we continue, I just wanted to point out that image, the GIF that I sent, the weird bunny GIF. So here's the backstory behind that. So Mia, she disconnected from Discord as she put in the thing, and I searched on like the GIF thing, like come back, just because I was like, I need a fun, cute GIF to send, and that was like the fourth GIF. Was that, and I was like, I don't know what that is, and I don't like it.
It's terrifying.
What's really funny is
It was impeccable timing.
Yeah, because Joe was talking about Easter.
Well, I hated it so much, and I was like, I'm not going to send that now, because I don't want to send that without any context, but then I have to send it. Like, there's no part of me that can send that that can see that without sharing it with the rest of the group.
Oh.
To be quite honest, I didn't even realize you sent it. I thought it was one of us who sent it in relation to Shady's Clifford outfit.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Okay. So, now, with my thing with Mia out of the way, we can now open the session. And I would say you guys are sitting outside of Womford on a big old hill, overlooking... Oh?
The map is all black for me.
Oh, no. Let me fix that.
Check my Roll20. I hate how when you don't use a tab on Google for a while, and when you go back to it, it has to, like, refresh everything.
Mm-hmm.
So annoying.
You can get an extension that makes it so it doesn't do that. I don't know what it's called.
God, I think I heard of it.
I don't
Just
know.
too lazy to
I think that there's one that like makes it so it doesn't do that. But let me see if I can make it so you guys can actually see the map. Although it's just this map of the north, so you guys should be able to see it.
Ah. I see it.
Huzzah! Okay, can everybody see the map? Just so we have some kind of visual. Awesome sauce. Okay. So, I would say you guys are kind of resting outside Womford, taking in what has just happened. And I would say he is not very discreet. So Harshnag will, after having a conversation with Ava, will spring to his feet and will duck behind a tree nearby. And he's kind of got like a spring, not like a spring in his step, but like kind of like a bit of extra thud in his giant footsteps.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was just because everyone's sitting around saying things. Yeah.
I got none of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, cutting out real bad.
Oh no, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's very robot.
It's a robot.
Robot. Oh, I want to build a tiny robot frog now.
Oh no.
Robot.
In one of my classes, they made us buy like a kit of parts that she hasn't had us do yet because she's just been having us use MATLAB. So I mean, theoretically, I could just use the parts and build a tiny robot frog.
I think that would be an excellent use of your time, personally.
I think that would be an outstanding use of your time as well. I don't think you can go wrong.
It's very
quiet, but let me turn you up.
But not robot-y.
It is not robot-y, that is good. Speak words, friend. Speak words.
Oh no, it got quieter.
I turned up the wrong person. That's the problem. I accidentally turned up Kirsten. I don't know why. My brain just did not function correctly there.
Wait, there you go.
I've got her up at 200.
Okay, I tried switching.
Oh dear.
And this one just will not be louder.
Let me see if I can find a way to help you make your thing sound a bit louder. I have to remember, because there is a way you can make your microphone louder, the output volume louder, but I have to remember how to do it.
It's the way through like the settings of voice and video. My output volume is already at 200%.
You can do it through, if you go to Windows, I'm trying to find in Windows.
Discord setting too. If you go to voice and video settings, you can adjust.
I think she's already done that at 200%. If you right click on your headphone, like your speaker on like your taskbar where you can like adjust your volume, if you right click on it and click on sounds and then go to recording, if you find your microphone and then go to properties, you can do levels and you can set that higher, and then that should make it go.
Hello.
And how?
Okay.
Hello.
Did that change anything?
It did. I can hear
It's
you
getting
much better.
Kind of
It's
quiet
still a little
for me.
quiet for me.
It's still a bit quiet, but no, stop.
Did that change anything?
Oh,
Hey!
Yay!
hey!
That changed everything.
Yay! Thank you.
Who doesn't
Yay!
want to play Among Us?
All right. So is everyone like sitting together at a camp?
Liddy will tumble out of whoever's pocket she's in and turn back to normal.
I'm just gonna collapse on the ground out of exhaustion. I didn't get injured at all, but I'm exhausted from that thing of dread.
Liddy will start petting Vesper's head.
A reversal of fortune, that.
Aha.
The druids are just touchy-feely.
That checks out.
Yes, absolutely.
Just be careful of my pointy crown.
Pointy crown, pointy crown.
Then I think I will just sit next to Liddy and Vesper. And yeah, I don't think he's going to try and couch this. He's just going to say, Harshnag wants to go after the town.
Do we even know exactly where the town went? Do we assume that it went to the Shadowfell?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure what exactly just happened. I think I might have zoned out for part of it, but
It didn't even sound like Eric knew, or it did sound like he knew what was happening, but it didn't sound like he was a part of it. It sounded like he was trying to help us, but...
well, because he didn't have the catalyst thing that he was looking for, so he couldn't have done it.
But then what did?
That thing was sleeping. It might have just done it on instinct upon waking up.
What thing?
What does anybody know anything about a Nightwalker?
Oh, yes.
Woodfinch?
You could make me a history or arcana check with disadvantage, I would say.
That is fair.
Nightwalkers come from the Shadowfell
They
specifically?
do come from the Shadowfell. They're made of
Ooh.
shadow stuff.
Not too bad.
They're made of shadow
Nice.
stuff.
All right, I would say with that arcana check, you would know that Nightwalkers, though they're sentient and like capable of, they are powerful enough to rip something from one dimension to another. They're very powerful, very strong boys. And I do want it pointed out that though it does sound funny, yes, they are made of what is canonically called shadow stuff. That's a real word in D&D. A real thing that composes Shadowfell creatures is called shadow stuff, and I love that.
Wow.
That's so great.
Yes, but anyways, yes, they're made of shadow stuff. They are very strong, and though they could theoretically do that, generally Nightwalkers are either independent nomadic type beings that just kind of wander the Shadowfell, sucking the life out of anything that has life, or they work underneath something, generally being commanded by an entity either of equal power or greater power.
Finch realized last session that the frog things that were attacking us are similar in that they would usually work under somebody, but also would be a little like independent. But her assumption was that something was ordering these frog people to attack.
Yes.
Okay. And then, somebody mentioned that vampires could also, like, have masters or work, like,
Yeah.
there's, like, a
Have
hierarchy,
claws?
kind of? So, I forget what someone someone did, like, a history thing on vampires and were like, sometimes they have, like, a stronger vampire person that they work under. So we were thinking something, like, along the lines of, if Eric isn't that strong of a vampire, maybe he's working for somebody.
I thought he was another guy's thrall kind of deal.
Oh, maybe that was it.
I would say that you would know Eric is 100% for sure a vampire. Like 100%, definitely no bones about it. A vampire, like not a thrall. He is definitely a real true-blooded vampire. With the teeths and everything.
He's a real boy.
He's a real boy.
Like something Eric posted to his own Facebook page to denounce those nasty rumors about himself.
He's definitely a vampire. And I would say you would also know that vampires are fairly powerful in their own right, and unless it was like entirely necessary, they wouldn't actively want to become somebody else's like servant or slave. They're pretty like hoity-toity in the sense that they like to be there in charge of themselves.
But it sounded like Eric knew something was coming, and it seemed like he knew what it was or where it was coming from. But he was very vague, and as far as we know, he got taken with the towns. Because there was nothing left, it was just a crater.
Can I ask, are liches generally, like, considered part of the Shadowfell, or are they their own separate thing?
Liches are generally their own separate thing, although there are plenty of them that live on the Shadowfell, just because it's a pretty scary, evil place for scary, evil boys to live. But they live all over, you know? Lich is gonna lich, you know what I mean?
Okay. Then second question, I guess. Would what Finch knows about Nightwalkers, would they only listen to someone of equal or greater power from the Shadowfell, or does it not matter origin?
I would say they would probably only listen to somebody of equal or greater power from the Shadowfell. Like somebody, or at least of, like, aligned goals. Like somebody whose goals are synonymous with, like, you know, making a whole plane in, like, covering a whole plane in darkness, you know, sucking the life out of things, just propelling, you know, death and shadow shit all over the place.
Death and shadow shit.
Yeah,
There's
like,
our title.
Death and shadow shit. That's it. I think that I'll have to write that down because that's beautiful. Yes, that's sort of the. No, come here. There we go. Yeah, that's sort of their vibe, and they would generally work with anything that would be like, hey, I'm gonna make this whole area death and shadow shit. Do you want to come? And they'd be like, well, I do like the sound of that. Sign me up.
I do like shadow shit. I'm into that.
Does anybody know how, even if we could do what Harshnag wants to do, how would we even get to Shadowfell?
Harshnag was planning to contact wizards he seemed certain could get him there, and from what I know of something like this, it's possible that it's not fully in the Shadowfell yet. There's a limbo state that happens when something this big gets transferred.
So it's like in a waiting room.
That gives us two different timelines that we're on now for this and the other thing up north.
He nods and he says, I reminded Harshnag of our original goal, but he's pretty determined. He thinks that everything can wait for us to do this. He must understand its consequences. Maybe it can.
I feel like before we even enter anything or go anywhere or do anything, we need to understand a little bit more about what exactly happened and who took it, who's doing this. Because if we just charge in blindly, who knows if we'd be able to come back or not. And then we'd be leaving everything to the chaos that's coming from the giants and then the possibility of realms merging once again.
He nods. I made Harshnag promise that if we're doing this, we will have a way back. We won't. He agreed to listen if at some point during it we decide that it is too far, too dangerous.
Did he mention where his wizard friend is located?
Did he? I don't actually remember that.
You can assume, based on what you guys have known about Harshnag, probably either in Waterdeep or somewhere in the area around Waterdeep.
Have to go back south.
Is he using the sending stone right now, actually? Is that what he's doing behind that tree?
I would say you can see Harshnag kind of pacing back and forth, saying words into what you would assume to be a sending stone.
Okay. You don't have to fully agree to go after it now, but I would like to at least ask that the possibility is open until we hear back from his wizard friends.
What time of day
It is nighttime.
I mean, probably might as well just camp here for the night and see.
What do you think, Finch? You've been particularly quiet this time.
I don't feel bad for the town, and if we can't help them, I want to, but realistically, heading back the way we just came from and doing this would not only set us back on our current goal, but effectively restart us from the beginning. I mean, we'd be giving up a lot on something that we probably best do on our way back.
Do we have to go back to Waterdeep? The town disappeared from here.
If we have to get help from the wizard, yeah.
I would say it's at this point when, speak of the devil, you would see kind of like a large, kind of like bluish flash appear from behind the tree that Harshnag is kind of talking behind. And you'll see Harshnag like do almost like a little schoolgirl hop, like, oh boy, oh joy, you're here already. And after strolling back, who doth appear? But everybody's favorite, sort of, jaded librarian, Vincor appears. Tired and in, like, a nightgown, he appears and looks you over, and he, as soon as he sees you guys, I guess the ones that he would recognize, he immediately rolls his eyes. And looks like he lets out like a very big, exasperated sigh.
Helio slinks down behind a rock.
And he'll think for a second, and he'll say like, "Why did I always know it was going to be you guys that would get into a mess like this?"
You're the one who put us on this.
He'll, like, not fully, but he'll kind of do, like, the, like, kind of, like, thing with his hand. And he'll, like, out of his, like, so, like, in a pocket in his nightgown, he'll pull out a, I guess the best way you could describe it is, like a blue chisel, almost. And he gestures to, I think it's Finch who's holding it, and he'll say, "That conch, I need the conch."
Con.
The
Finch
shell
has the
that-
conch? Yeah, she'll hand it
We
over.
gave it to Harshnag because it was too big.
Ah, well then Harshnag will hand it to him, and he will begin etching something into it. He'll begin etching a character into the conch. And as he's doing this, he will address the group and he'll say, "You'll be in there for 3 days. You don't have a ton of time, and you have to hurry."
I'd like a little bit more context about where is it that we're going and how is it that we're going to be doing whatever we're doing in there?
Well, as far as I understand it, some very powerful entity has ripped this area from the Prime and put it in the Shadowfell. Standard stuff, your average Tuesday. But you need to go in there and to the Shadowfell and bring it back. Probably by killing whatever nasty being is doing this in the first place.
And you think we're able to do that? To clarify.
He'll look at you guys, and he'll kind of have like a little bit of like let me find the there's like, I can't describe the face that he's making, but there's an emoji that does it, so we'll do that.
Liddy just kind of waves.
This face. He makes like a that face. Yeah, he does like that, and he's like, Harshnag seems to believe you can do it, and if Harshnag believes it, I mean, who am I to doubt a member of Force Grey?
I was gonna look between this guy and Harshnag and be like, if we will get transported back in 3 days, can't we just collect the survivors and leave without combat?
He'll, look at the area, like, you'll see he stops chiseling away at the thing for a moment, and he looks out at the area, and he says, if you think you could hide in an area that big for 3 days from whatever powerful creature is taking over, then yeah, I'm sure that'd be a great idea.
Can I insight for sarcasm?
No need. He's definitely being sarcastic. He does not believe that you could hide in an area that, like, whatever powerful entity is there will probably be able to find you within the time span that you're thinking of here.
Okay. Just to be safe, insight to make sure we're actually going to come back in 3 days. I mean, I doubt he's lying right now, but better safe than sorry.
Go ahead.
12.
I would say Vincor is a pretty straightforward guy. He doesn't doll the truth up with, like, oh, maybe, possibly, he's pretty straightforward. I would say he's telling the truth. Like, he's a pretty talented wizard. You don't become a, like the desk clerk at the halls of Ogma just because you're some, like ragtag boy off the streets. You have to work pretty hard to get where he's at. So he's you think he's telling the truth.
Okay, so if we're doing this and we're going to this place, any information you can give us about where it is we're going, what it is we're fighting, and or anything possibly you could give us to assist us to help bring these places back by killing whatever it is we're going to be fighting.
He will look at you and he'll say, well, I'm glad you asked. You'll be going to Womford and barge right in the Shadowfell. I'm sure you've been there already, judging by that. And again, he'll gesture to the crater. I don't know what exactly it is you're going to fight. There are plenty of powerful beings that live in the Shadowfell, capable of doing something like this, but getting them into this plane is another thing entirely. From what I know of the vampires that stalked this area, from Noxine, the Womford Bat would not have been capable of doing something like this. He has to have had an accomplice of some kind, and something with a powerful tie to the Shadowfell. But what that would be, I have no idea. And as for how you're going to get back, I would say you'll know it when you see it.
Oh, great.
That's very unhelpful for a life or death mission.
He'll continue chiseling away, and he'll say, just when your friend here, Harshnag, when he plays this horn, listen real close. That's all I'll say.
Since you know enough to transfer us to the Shadowfell, do you know of any differences between it and this plane? Weaknesses or things that we can or can't do there?
He'll look at you and he'll kind of like think for a second before he speaks, and he'll say, normally I would say it's a place of dread, misery, despair, and darkness. But you're going to a domain of dread. So the way this plane is set up and manipulated is entirely under the control of whatever creature created it. So you might walk into something that looks nothing like what you saw not but several hours ago.
We're going to get to rest before we go, right?
He'll nod and he'll say, this is going to take me a while. You'll definitely want some sleep. And Helio, if you have my pen, you can keep it. But just know that I know you took it.
Helio looks out from behind the rock. He puts his hand up. He waves his hand up in the air, like raising his hand.
Harshnag will, or not Harshnag, Vincor will wave back, and he'll even kind of like give you like a friendly smile, like he's glad to see that you're all right. But then he'll kind of go back to his work and kind of like furrow his brow.
Pipe up and say, "Yeah, I don't want to go."
He's like, "Are you gonna say that to him?"
That's what he says. I don't want to go.
He'll look at you and he'll say, well then I would take that up with whoever's in charge around here. I just work here. I'm just making it so that you can go there. I'm not gonna send you there.
We're going to do this. We're really going to go into the Shadowfell and possibly fight a very strong, powerful, evil being in order to bring back Baldrayton and Womfoot.
Harshnag will finally speak up, and he'll say, I believe these people should be saved, and if you don't, then you don't have to come.
Three days off of our trip up north.
Vincor will interject when you say the 3 days. He'll say, that's 3 days maximum. You can take less time if you need. Time flows differently in the Shadowfell, so you could come back in several seconds or several years. Who knows?
Is several years actually on the table here? Because I don't think we have several years.
We have an entire ordering to take care of, and then we've got this realm thing happening as well. And on top of it, going to the Shadowfell. That's a lot of things to put on our plate, Vincor.
Vincor will... He'll kind of roll his eyes and, he'll say, Realm, Schmel. The realms merge every other year. You guys can take care of it. I believe in you. You guys got this.
So, I assuming that Liddy was actually paying attention, even though I wasn't technically here. She gives like a description of the, what was it, frogs and Nightwalker that we were fighting before to this guy.
Yeah.
Could he maybe narrow down what we might be facing?
I would say he might be able to give you a long, detailed list, but he wouldn't be able to give you much beyond that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, just anything to maybe narrow it down. Like, I don't know, it was like surrounded by fog and...
He'll detail that, like, some of the creatures that could have done this, perhaps, are, like, shadow dragons. A shadow dragon could have done it. Although if it was a shadow dragon, you probably would know. It probably would have some kind of big, like, perch or, or at least, like, a big cave it would be hiding out in. It could be, let's see, maybe like a Skull Lord could perhaps do it. A Death Giant, maybe, like a particularly powerful Death Giant. Let's see. What else could have done this? A Balhanoth could have done it. I would say that, maybe a Dark Weaver could have done it. I don't know. He'll list off. I would say that's what he would list off. Those are some of the things he would list off.
Sound fun?
I go back to the point I made about asking whether or not, since you're going to be sending us there, and if we are going to do this, looking to the whole entire party, is there anything that you could give us to aid us? Because I'm assuming whatever it is we're going after is going to be very powerful.
Helio would like to pipe up at that and ask if he could have 2 spells in particular that he thinks he would have.
Finch wants a spell.
Ugh.
Finch also likes spells.
I don't. What spells would you like?
Okay, so out of character, well, even in character, specifically, Helio is looking for. Damn it! I just had them up. Storm Sphere and Wall of Fire.
Storm Sphere and Wall of Fire?
Yes.
Let me look those up. Are they on your, like, spell list? Or no?
Yeah, they are. I don't have access to them because he technically does not have them.
Do you have protection from evil and good?
Does who's have?
Oh, I'm just curious if that's something Helio has.
He does not have it in his spell collection. No.
I want Arcane Eye.
Arcane Eye? What the hell is Arcane Eye?
Fun.
I would say if it's a spell that is like currently within a spell level that you could learn, I would say you can learn like one spell. Like he'll give you access to a trove of scrolls and books that he has access to. That if it's a spell that you could learn right now, like of a certain level that you have, like, you know, if you have 5th level spells, then it can be a 5th level spell, whatever. You can learn 1 or 2 spells, I would say.
Right.
2 for Helio, 2 for Helio, 1 for everyone else.
Okay.
We
I can learn 4th level.
What?
Someone was saying something. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, I was gonna ask this spell that we could learn. Does it have? It has to be from the list of spells that are available to us. Or
Unless you
is
can
it
make a good
specifically to
case,
wizard class?
if you can make me a case that would be like why your character might want to know it or could know it, then I would allow it maybe, but I would say just to expedite things, if you are going to add a spell, it probably should just be from your list.
Okay.
I'm just gonna clarify this, just to make sure. Only wizards can, like, learn spells like this, right?
Technically, as rules is written, sure, but I mean, like, I think it's more fun to give everybody, you know, spells that they want.
Oh, there's so many spells.
I mean, you can have Evil Eye if you want Evil Eye. Or Arcane Eye, not Evil Eye. If you want Arcane Eye.
I know, Arcane Eye is really useful, though. Oh, but I could learn Fireball.
I mean, I would choose Fireball if I were you, man. That's just my diagnosis is Fireball. That has, like, you know, Finch energy.
I know. Yeah, I'm taking Fireball. Arcane Eye can be someone else's problem.
Aiming like a fireball.
Which spell do you not need? Okay, so I got Fireball.
There's so many concentration spells on this list. Sure.
Oh boy, it is. Oh.
Helio's gonna take Light and Storm Sphere.
Ooh la la.
Yes.
Ooh la la. I just wanted to see if I could find an image of a dragonborn in a nightgown that I could potentially use as Vincor's new image for right now, but
how'd that go for you?
Google did not have what I was looking for. Google struggled with that one. Google wasn't really bringing up the answers on that.
Hey, Google tried its best.
Yeah, I was giving it a real tough one. That was a toughie. I'll give Google a pass on that.
How do you spell Vincor's name?
Vincor, I think. Let me double check. I have it spelled out other places, but I don't have it memorized because he's only a sometimes character. Vincor. But there you go.
Okay, thank you.
I can tell that it's going to take
always...
me long to look through these spells. I can feel it in my bones.
What is
so
it?
many wonderful spells.
Oh, just how long it will take me to look through all of the spells.
Well, while you guys continue to look for the spells, I will say Vincor will spend the next several hours chiseling a mark into the conch of teleportation, so the rest of you can all have a long rest.
Yay.
Morning speech time. Everyone get your HP.
HP, get your HP here. Read back.
8 plus 13 points of temporary HP.
Can you give your speech?
Oh yeah, we're gonna go fuck up some vampires. Huzzah!
That's the spirit.
How many temp HP is it?
13.
13.
I like the half of Finch's speech is about just how full of himself Bumpkin Vampire was. Now she just really wanted to punch his face then and there. Just the most punchable face.
Think of your fist finally punching his face.
Okay. Before we go to bed, I wanted to discuss with the party the whole fact that Eric seemed like he was helping us, or at least wanted to help us from whatever it is that was coming to the city, and it seemed like he knew what it was. Do we want to, when we get to the Shadowfell, to try to ally with him, or do we think it was all a ruse? Because... Oh wait, no, I wasn't there when he initially attacked Helio at the very beginning. Never mind.
I would have told you about it, I imagine.
Okay. Well, because he tried to get Helio, and then when... I'm assuming you told her also, when you dropped your disguise and he recognized you, he changed his tune and wanted us to hide into the basement with him to get away from whatever was going to attack the city. So just from the outside, it looked like he was trying to help us.
I don't suppose we can retroactively insight him yelling.
Retroactive insight? I would say in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the combat, I would say you are unsure of his true intentions. You do not know.
He might have just wanted us to be near him since he knew we have some fighting ability.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Okay, so when we get to Shadowfell, barge right in. Our first thing is to look for Eric, or I'm assuming what Harshnag wants to do is just immediately go after the big bad baddie.
If I had to take a guess, I'd say he's either working with the baddie. Actually, that's all I can guess. I'd imagine he's working with the baddie. If we don't deal with him right away, then there's a possibility that we'll have to be dealing with him when we fight the bigger guy at the end of it all.
So he was trying to get us to follow him into the basement, not of him helping us, but to trap us in the city. So that once whatever did what it did, we would have been stuck in there with him. Sans Harshnag.
He sounded legitimately afraid of it, though.
But he also...
Someone who was working with it?
He also mentioned that when we had talked about Ironford Keep, he seemed very wary of talking about it and just being around it. So I'm wondering if there really is something in the background that's working its magic above Eric, and if he's nothing but a pawn for that being, whatever it is. Vincor, you don't know anything about Ironford Keep from Wanford, do you?
He will... What would Vincor know? Let's see. I would say Vincor would be able to tell you that it, like, so the whole of, the whole area of Wamford and Bardraite used to be a big, like, he'll tell you information you already knew. It used to be a very, like, prominent center of, like, trade and, like, you know, people who are coming from places like Coromir, they would have to pass through Wamford to get to places like Waterdeep. And it had, like, you know, a big, you know, thriving trade industry. But then, over time, you know, like, baddies came in and, you know, catastrophes happened and it fell apart. But Ironford Keep is notorious for... I have to pull up what exactly it's notorious for. But basically, long story short, it held out a big invasion of... I have to look it up. It held back a big invasion of giant spiders. Big invasion of giant spiders from the High Forest. Big mass stampede of them from the High Forest. Bunch of them came out, stormed the countryside, eaten anything that moved, and they were halted at Ironford Keep.
Well, what had caused Ironford Keep to become the ruin that it is or was today?
Neglect, he would probably guess. He would venture a guess that it was probably just neglect.
We could do that as soon as we get there tomorrow, is go straight to Ironford Keep and see exactly what roams around it. What is so fearful for Eric to not want to be around it? Should we fear that Azrael is also there? Or do you think she would have just escaped and went back to wherever it is she came from?
If she had dimension door, then hopefully she's gone.
As we know, our goal was to capture Helio, right? Knowing that we probably wouldn't stay in the realm, I doubt she would want to be on a different plane as our target.
Her goal was following us the entire way. You know, now that I think about it, I remember when we first initially left Waterdeep, and there was a sense of something watching us in the shadows, and I wonder if that was her. But I digress. I don't know
is
if
she the one who, when you were scrying through your hair thing, that she saw you?
Yes, that was her.
Okay. So she's got some way of seeing us when we don't want to be seen.
Well, the question is does something like that work across planes? Because it sounds like we're going to be going into a whole new plane. And if she stays here, then I don't know if she'd be able to do it. Is that something that could happen?
Scrying across planes? Generally no, unless you're, like, wicked powerful.
Question, because I wasn't here. The weird blood magic thing that was on
Ava, Finch, and Vesper.
Ava? I want to see. We ever get that taken care of?
Yes.
Well, two of you got it off, and then someone still had it, I thought.
Yeah,
Everybody
it was
is
Ava.
A-okay.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it went away by morning.
Mm.
We didn't have to dispel it at all. It was just gone.
That's good to know.
And then, yeah. So,
and sorry.
I was just going to try to close us out for the evening before we all go to sleep and get ready to go out into the morning then. But if there's anything you want to do before that.
I just had a mechanical question.
Give me that mechanical question.
So for those of us who prepare spells but want to learn a new one, does that just mean we add it to our list and then we have to use our X number of prepared spells if we want to use it?
I would say if you want this one to just be permanently prepared, I'd be okay with that. Having a spell that's just permanently prepared that doesn't take up a slot, I'd be okay with that.
Ooh. Okay.
That's pretty nice, actually.
That being said, I would like to learn Beacon of Hope.
Beacon of Hope. Is it on your spells list already?
No, it's not a druid spell.
Beacon of Hope. Bacon of Hope.
It seems like a very Liddy kind of spell to learn, though.
Go for it! Go for it. Bacon of Hope. You have it.
Bacon.
Bacon of Hope. Oh, you don't need
probably make
a
a
lot
note
of
to myself.
That's a really nice spell. Okay. So spell learning, sleep, and then spend whatever the time is we need to spend in the Shadowfell.
I will... Okay, so I mentioned earlier that Ironford Keep was famous for holding back an invasion of spiders. I will clarify because I pulled up my notes finally, and I had to cross-reference them with what I read earlier. But, so Vincor will clarify that it was... So some dragon basically was like, hey, I'm going to command a whole bunch of giant spiders to attack this village. And the dragon and the spiders got halted at Ironford Keep.
How long ago was this?
I I would say maybe like a century and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
Oh, not even, no, way more than that. Oh, wait, no. Maybe like half a millennium ago. I don't know. 500 years ago, I would say.
Oh, jeez. Womford, because you mentioned before Womford was a bustling village, city, town thing, but then it started to go downhill? When did it start going downhill?
It would have started going downhill within the past 50 years.
Okay. Was there any particular reason why it did that?
I would say it would be a confluence of like it being in kind of a rough location. The north is a like notoriously harsh location. You know, there's giants and evil bad boys just lurking in every nook and cranny, getting ready to hop out at you and kill you. And Walmford and Barge Right In with their big, with the big fort on the hill, and with Barge Right In being this huge castle, made a good target for just about anybody that wanted to come and, do some kind of badness. And plus, it had always kind of been known for having a seedy underbelly, kind of like criminal society that would lurk in the shadows around the city. And eventually the poor reputation and like the kind of bad boys that surround the area eventually just kind of got to be too much, and other routes became more reliable, such as the Delimbir River, from Succumber down here to Daggerford and then up to Waterdeep. Routes like that became more traversable and more safe.
So we know that Eric was working with the Zentarum and had been in Barge Right In for only the past couple of years, was it?
You get the impression he wasn't there very long.
Because he did mention how long he'd been there for. But Finch, when you were in Barge Right In, for whatever reason it was, however long ago that was, there was no indication of any sort of, shadowy evilness around the area.
When Finch was last here, was there?
When Finch was last here, it was definitely kind of going downhill, but it still had quite the reputation behind it, especially Barge Right In. And Barge Right In was kind of set apart as kind of a gated community apart from Womford. So you would like Barge Right In, by the time you were here, still would have had quite the rapport as a grand place, but Womford itself would have been kind of like, you can go there if you need a quick night's sleep and you're in a bit of trouble, but it wasn't like the best place to hang out, but it was still important enough to be like guarded by guards from Waterdeep and things like that.
It was guarded, but it wasn't this bad.
So whatever that powerful being was, it had come around after or at the same time Eric came to this area. So go to the Shadowfell, take out Eric, and then take out whatever higher power being there is above him, and try and do whatever it is we need to do to bring back both towns.
Yeah, guess so.
Okay.
While all this is going on, Helio is going to spend a lot of time shaving his silver coins into silver powder.
Okay.
I have a question about the mechanics of the daylight spell. Is it Would it be like natural daylight to something in the Shadowfell, or is that not something I'd know?
No, it would. I would say you would know it's not like natural daylight. The daylight spell is just a very bright light spell. The sunlight spell is the one that you're looking for. That's very similar name. Sunlight is the one that you're looking for, or something like that.
Yeah, but it's like a 7th level spell.
Yeah, it's very
much
high.
more powerful.
Okay, that makes sense.
So are we all so we're assuming that whatever the more powerful being is not a vampire. It's possibly something completely different. But to take out Eric, we have our wooden stakes, we have our holy water. Vincor, is there anything else you could tell us about how to properly eliminate a vampire? Permanently. Because we only know the basics of vampires and just the ability of using holy water and putting a stake through the heart, but I didn't know if there's an extra layer of something that we would need to do to kill a vampire. Is there?
He'll mention that they don't like powerful holy symbols of like good deities. Those are particularly good at combating them. And radiant spells generally will, if they don't deal extra damage, they will at least deter the vampire from like getting closer to you. And after thinking for a moment, he'll shrug and say, maybe garlic?
So putting a stake through the heart or dousing it in holy water or hitting it with radiant energy, killing it that way is enough to kill it permanently.
He'll say yes, and he will I guess he can't do that. I'll just say for sake of it, he'll give you a clove of garlic to hang on to, just in case.
Awesome. Perfect.
I'll say that he will give you a clove of garlic.
I feel so prepared now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He definitely would not have the ability to summon that, but whatever. He'll find a way.
Okay. Very old garlic from the pocket.
Does anybody want to learn the new 2nd level spell, Summon Garlic?
Yes.
That sounds very much like a druid thing.
That is a druid spell. I'm going to say it.
Only if I can dictate whether it is summoned whole clover minced.
Powdered.
Powdered whole clove minced. Beautiful. I love it. All right. But
Liddy, could you do your grove thing that you did the other night again, just to
sure.
just in case there's any lingering evil energy? Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I can make the grove. I will make my druid grove.
Amazing. All right. Hey, I think we're going to take a quick break, gang, so I can get something to drink. And we're basically only a couple minutes out from 10 o'clock, so break time.
Can I real quick talk to you about something that Lady wants to do before she goes to sleep?
Go for it.
So the magic stick that I have.
Magic stick, yes.
I would like to say the little prayer that summons the chrysalis.
Okay.
And send a message to the grandfather tree.
Okay.
Telling him that...
I have to write this down. This is very important. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Go.
Lifferlos, the awakened tree, was being sought after to use as a catalyst. Is currently safe, but I worry that he and the other awakened trees might still be hunted.
Okay.
And I'm going to the Shadowfell. Don't know how long I'll be.
Okie dokie.
Okay, bye.
I'd say BRB, but I don't know if I will be.
In my notes, I said the last line was going to Shadowfell, comma, see you in a while, B-I-E-E-E-E-E-E with a winky face. Bye. There we go.
Bye.
Got it. Alright. That message will be delivered. I would say that after you whisper the message to the little chrysalis, out of it pops as soon as you're done saying the message, out of it pops a, beautiful butterfly, almost like it appears almost as though it's made out of, stained glass, or more specifically, the light that comes from, a stained glass window. And it will kind of, perch on your finger for a second, as though to wait in case there's anything else, and after a moment, it will just flutter away into the sky.
Cool.
I am so bad at picking spells.
I believe in you. I believe
I've
in
been
you.
looking at this list for 10 minutes.
There is always Summon Garlic. That is Conjure Garlic, the new spell invented specifically for this campaign. Conjure Garlic.
If I cast it up a level, do I get some free pasta with it, or is that?
I would say
Is that
I would say.
Does it upgrade to breadstick and then pasta?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's garlic bread, then garlic pasta, and then I think you're looking at other garlic-based meals. With I think the final one being maybe a garlic-based implement of some kind, like a garlic sword or something. I don't know. I'd have to work on that.
Yes.
Not garlic swordfish, although that will be one of the meals, garlic swordfish.
Is there anything specifically you want Ava to be able to do that he hasn't been able to thus far?
Well, I'm trying to think of what fits Ava's vibe, and I'm torn between whether it's, just lean a bit more into that evil, or whether it's probably healing, knowing what he's mostly been doing in combat.
Yeah. I mean, I was specifically looking at buff spells, so I get that.
Yeah, I was looking at buff spells. I'm just is the fact that he's healing in combat his vibe, though, or just what he does?
Just because no one else has been able to. I love that.
Helio heals, but he hasn't been.
Yeah. Liddy has heals, but she wasn't there for this last combat and is often an animal.
There are surprisingly a lot of images for Garlic Sword. There are surprisingly many images. Here's a garlic sword. The first one that comes up is it's a garlic sword of some kind.
Oh.
Garlic bread sword.
Bread sword.
Apparently it was a motif in Chinese sword making, was having garlic cloves, garlic bulbs on the end of swords, but metal, fashioned out of metal.
Huh.
That makes sense.
That's interesting.
Yeah, here's an image of one, if my computer wants to cooperate with me.
Why would it do that?
Well, it's probably because I don't thank it enough, harkening back to earlier in the session. But yeah, There you go. Chinese sword makers would... I guess that's a mace, but...
Yeah, close enough.
That looks like a pumpkin, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I like it, though.
Either way. I guess they wouldn't have known about pumpkins, though. Pumpkins are from the Americas, so they wouldn't have known about pumpkins at the time, I guess, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking Revivify, just because, it would
that
make sense.
Would be a good one for someone in our group to have.
A little too scarred by what happened to Liddy to not prepare for it in the future.
That makes a lot of story sense.
I just wanted everybody to decipher what that image means for me while I go really quick. I posted an image in the chat, and I don't know what it means. Like, is it which one you'd rather fight? Or... I don't know. I'll be back in a second. I'll let you guys decipher it.
It's who would win in combat.
Yeah, I'm seeing it that way too.
Yep.
And
And
I'm
it is-
totally... Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, and it is door hinge with assorted banana bread.
I don't know. I can't stand bananas, so I'm going with garlic bread.
Just think a garlic bread gun wouldn't do anything to a door hinge.
No, you know those movies where they like shoot the lock off of doors and stuff? You shoot out the hinges?
Yeah.
Alright, I return.
Wait.
Have we come to a consensus as to what that means?
Who would win in a fight?
We had
Oh,
an intense battle.
I would say it'd be the door hinge. If it was going to be one that wins in a fight. Because the door hinge has the whole, like, being made out of metal thing going for it.
And it gives you more mobility.
Yeah.
Or the banana bread more mobility.
Although I guess there is a gun on the... I don't know. That's a tough one. But either way.
I will note that the door hinge has an extra hand to hold its banana bread. The garlic bread is just attached to its sword.
Oh,
That's fair.
okay. So
Yeah.
it can't really maneuver the sword. The sword is but an appendage. Whereas, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with my answer with the door hinge. I think the door hinge would have to close the distance, but once it did, I think it'd be all over for the garlic bread. Man, this session's gonna have another good chunk of titles that I'm gonna have to sift through. I don't really know what I'm gonna choose yet. Although
All over for the garlic bread.
yeah, there's death and shadow shit. I do like all over for the garlic bread. Simply conjure
Garlic.
Conjure garlic is a very good one. That's a very, very powerful set of words. I don't know. I will not.
It's a very powerful set of words.
I mean, it is. That's just a very, very
I love it.
powerful like phrase. Conjure garlic.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I will not. I'll be spoiled for choice this session. Spoiled for choice.
I have a weird spell that's available to me on D&D Beyond, and I think it's only because I have my character sheet that I made for Vesper in D&D Beyond is part of a campaign by a friend who made all of the like content available for me to see when I make my character sheets, and it's this what level spell is it? It is it a first level spell? It's a first level spell called Create Condiment.
Create condiment.
Conjure garlic!
Yeah, so it's
Conjure garlic.
it says your cleric might be able to create 45 pounds of food, but it's horribly bland and desperately needs salt or ranch dressing or mint jelly. With this spell, you can create food of any kind, but you can make any food you find. You can't create, excuse me. With this spell, you cannot create food of any kind, but you can make any food you find better. You create up to 6 ounces of any condiment of your choice, or 15 grams of salt and or spices, equivalent to 20 salt packets, or 40 dashes of salt. This spell can also create flavorings sufficient for up to 5 gallons of water.
Out of curiosity, who did that math? 40 pinches of salt equaling 20 salt
Right? I was
packets?
thinking that too.
Who did that? Somebody has to have calculated that out.
I mean, that's pretty accurate. Like if you just think about it.
Yeah, no, I mean it is. It's just
Yeah.
like I wonder how they did that. I guess they could have calculated out what one salt packet is equal to in terms of pinches and then multiplied that number out, but still.
Yeah.
That's literally the garlic powder that I use.
In other news, Helio is going to sand down 350 silver coins
It's a lot of money.
if you'll let me.
I thought you don't like coins. You don't like money.
Well, he's
Helio
destroying them currently.
Yeah.
He needs it for material components. He doesn't care about the coin. That's what I.
So you want me to give you from the party funds all this silver coin?
Oh, Helio has 350. Well,
Oh, you do?
356 gold silver coins, and he has 135 gold coins
Where'd you
and
get that?
933 copper coins. I don't know. I've just been accumulating.
Oh yeah. Can I roll the chicken roll?
Oh yeah, give me a chicken roll.
And out of character, I don't suppose the party has 300 GP worth of diamonds.
We don't have any diamonds.
I mean, Helio has 135 gold that you can use to put towards buying one if you need to, because he's not going to mess with it.
Bruiser occasionally lays shiny things.
He does occasionally lay shiny things, although I will say today, this is one of the few answers that I have memorized. He will not lay anything.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, but we do have holy water.
Vicious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that.
Nope, Bruiser will not lay anything.
Because I think, story-wise, it would make sense for Avo to learn Revivify.
I agree.
And then not be able to use it because it does require those diamonds.
That's fair.
I mean, if you guys want to, you guys can just trade in 300 gold worth of gold, and I can just say you guys have a diamond now. I mean, like, I'm not going to tell anybody. Who am I? In charge?
Got
Something like that.
DM.
I mean, you guys are going to be going after it's going to be a couple more sessions, I think. Maybe one more session here, but you guys are going to a bigger town here soon. So you guys will have access to, like, buying proper components. But in the meantime, if you guys want to say, I accidentally dropped 300 gold on the ground, and oh no, what's this? There's a diamond there now. Whoops. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna...
then can I have transfer 300 of the party fund?
Of the party fund?
That's a
Yeah,
good idea.
Because I do not have enough individual gold. I have not been here for that long.
I don't know exactly where Helio got it. I just know it came from somewhere at one point.
Okay. Well, I've been calculating party funds, and last time I asked you if you wanted your share, you said you don't care for coins, so I just put it towards the party fund.
Okay.
How dare you?
I know there was a point where he got gold from something and just held on to it. And then all the other times he was like, I don't care.
Pastor gave you money. The Perladrin we met, the tattoo guy. He gave you coins.
Yeah, that's what, and then I never took the time.
You didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I just held on to it. I never took the
no.
time to give it to anybody. So
Mhm.
that's where that comes from.
Okay.
And then I will say that the diamond from that can just sit in party inventory because it's only going to be used if we need to revivify someone.
Okay, so I'll subtract the 350 from party fund, but we better save enough for Finch and Vesper tattoos.
We need full at this point.
690. Okay, and then I will put in here. Where is?
Helio's gonna slide over 933 copper.
Oh,
like, I don't want this.
Are we in the next morning yet?
Yes, I would say. I mean, if you guys want to be, I don't know. You guys are in charge of the pace here. I'm the narrator. I don't tell you guys when things happen.
Changes.
So,
okay,
if you guys want it to be next morning, it's next morning.
If it's next morning, out of the group, who would like to use the halfling statue to have a guaranteed success? And this success is you mentioned the success is only for like ability checks, or it could be anything.
Oh man, I'd have to pull up my thing. Give me a second. It's on this document here. Give me 1 second. It can be used on saving throws, ability checks, and attack rolls.
Saving throws, ability checks. Okay. So.
But I will remind you that the statue has to be on your person if you're going to use it.
Oh, it has to be on us. It's
So
like a
I'm gonna say
life-size
that
statue.
that means Liddy probably can't because it's probably about as big as her.
I think
Why
that
did you
means
make it life-size?
I think that means Harshtag's the only one who could use it.
I mean, it probably would be good for him to have a guaranteed then.
Unless me or Ava goes beast mode and you just like tie it to us.
The bear just throws a halfling statue at an enemy.
I have 8. Finch has 8 strength. She might be.
Statue's not even actually magical. It's just beating people with it. I guarantee.
Yeah, like Vesper just throws her maul away and just uses the life-size halfling statue as the weapon.
Any crystal's a banishing crystal if you throw it hard enough.
I guess I would say if somebody were to, for whatever reason, use the halfling statue as a weapon, I would say it would count as damage would be magical, just because I like the idea of it being a weapon.
Oh, that's another thing also. When we go into the Shadowfell to fight whatever, like, bad thing that we're fighting, any smart people around who knows a lot of things, like Helio, Finch, I don't know if Jack, Liddy, or Ava is very well versed in those types of things. Do we need magical weapons to be able to hurt some things? Because my maul is not magical.
Oh shit! I should have got magical weapon instead.
Helio will go over the rundown of what things hurt what.
I would say most creatures in the Shadowfell most more powerful creatures in the Shadowfell generally require a magical weapon. Not to be you can damage them with regular weapons, but you won't be dealing damage at your maximum effectiveness.
Right. Yeah, I need a magical weapon. Why couldn't we go shopping before we went on to do all of this? Is there any?
Could I, instead of having taken Fireball, taken Magic Weapon, knowing this? Never mind. Yep, no, I can take this. It's Wizard. Yeah.
Charlie?
Well, do we need it?
Knowing that a lot of these things are going to be resistant to non-magical weapons, could I have taken the spell Magic Weapon instead of
totally.
Fireball?
If you wanted to, yeah.
Goodbye, Fireball.
Is that concentration?
Yeah. Oh, is it? I can just stay on the back line. Yes it is.
Are you sure that Hex doesn't make your attacks magical when you hit something with it? Like, just for Vesper's sake? I'm pretty sure, I mean, like, I might be remembering it wrong, but I think...
It doesn't say.
Oh,
here.
It doesn't? Okay.
I mean, it could if it was like a warlock, like Hexblade Warlock that has that, like, a different type of hex.
Okay, so it's like a... Yeah, okay. Alright, got it.
Versus just the regular basic hex.
I understand.
I'll just take Magic Weapon.
We could also, if we go there, and if we end up being around whatever magical being's armory, try to find a magical weapon in there, and then I could just use that.
Maybe you will find something. Who knows?
Well, just in case.
So would we? How far to the next closest town are we? Would we not be able to get there?
I would say it would depend on which town you guys want to go to, which is actually something I was going to ask you guys about here soon. You guys could go to Red Larch, which is about 70 miles away. Or you could go to Belliard, which is, give or take, about 100 miles away.
And this is for, like, after we do this, or?
I would assume after. I mean, I don't know if you get... I don't think you could make it there and back in 3 days if that was the plan.
Okay. Just checking. Then probably Red Larch, right? Because that's the road that goes straight up where we want to go.
Yeah, that would be our... Yeah, we were gonna head to Belliard because we were at Grudhaug, but now that we're down here, it would make more sense to go there.
I would also say if you're looking for a big town, Red Larch is much bigger than Belliard.
Okay. So we'll do this, and hopefully when we're successful and come back, we'll head down the road to Red Larch and then just head down the long road straight to Mirabar.
Got a long road ahead of you.
Nothing else deters us.
All right, well, you had to appreciate long. I mean, come on now. One of my best.
It was pretty good.
Thank you.
Okay. We also, don't forget, we have other things. We've got the immovable rod of force storage. We've got the lantern of revealing. We've got the bottle of banishing, or Banff bottle. We also have the sovereign glue. We have the oil of slipperiness in our loot. So if anybody thinks that they would want to hold on to one of the items and has like a creative way to possibly use it, we could distribute it to whoever thinks they could use it for whatever reason. Oh, we also have that potion of greater invisibility, so that will be really nice. Because greater invisibility, you can cast spells and attack, but you won't be turned invisible again, right? That's greater.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it only lasts for a minute. Okay. So I'm assuming the best time to use a potion of greater invisibility is fighting whatever the big bad evil thing is. So would we want one Jack or Helio to be greater invisible and cast spells? Do we want one of the druids? Do we want the melee fighter, or do we want
I
the
nominate
bard?
Jack. I think Jack would make great use of it, but that's just me. The omniscient voice in the sky thinks that Jack would make great use of it.
I mean, on the other hand, he does such a great job of hiding and being unseen without it.
Let me cast my 4 spells now and then just be like, good job, guys, keep going.
Now here's the question. Does Jack in Finch's pocket count as a carried object?
He doesn't weigh much. He eats light.
He eats light.
Yeah, that's why.
That's true. Could we load up one of the melee fighters with a fairy and a pocket animal?
You
and
also
all
have
of them
pocket
be
healer.
invisible?
I do have a shield spell,
Geez,
so I could shield.
Good question. I would say you could do that. However, I would say that everybody who is not the person who is carrying everybody would have disadvantage, or maybe would instantly fail like dexterity saving throws or something like that.
Or like if we peeked out of the pocket, we would become visible or something.
Yeah, something like that. There would be some kind of downside, because having you all be invisible would be a little bit.
You just see a sudden like floating hedgehog head appear out of nowhere.
The coast is clear, guys. The coast is clear.
Let's go.
All right, so do we want to distribute all of these things, or should we just assume in the moment, if you want to use it, we could assume that you took it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So just don't forget that we have those things. So if you think of something, just be like, okay, I took this before we left, and now I'm going to use it for whatever reason.
Can I try and check where the bottle of banishing is currently set to? Do we know that?
I would say the bottle of banishing, if you shake it, if you give it a little shake, it will change it to different locations.
Yeah, it says you can make a DC 15 Arcana check to determine where it would transport its victim.
Then give me that Arcana check.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
All right.
If you want me to do the... Oh, you're good.
Give me 1 second to pull up my table that I have for my magical weapons. It's not even going to be in here. I don't know what I'm doing. It's not on there. Great. Okay, cool. I would say... I would say it is currently set to... Upon looking at it and kind of feeling it out, it looks as though it is set to... Avernus, the first plane of the Nine Hells.
Okay. That sounds good. I just want to make sure, like, if we somehow manage to force it in a villain's mouth, it's not to the mortal plane. Damn it.
Yes, currently it is set to Avernus. Are we just gonna stand around, or are we going?
You got really quiet real quick.
I was gonna say.
Oh, I had to mute myself because my dog wanted to go out of my room, so I had to open the door for her. But I'm assuming we're just gonna bamf. Is Vincor still with us, or did he leave while we were all sleeping?
I would say Vincor will, maybe, say his goodbyes, hey, good luck, don't die.
Is he not coming with us?
No, Vincor's got stuff to do. He's leaving.
Goddamn Vincor.
Yeah, he will finish carving something into the conch, and when you guys look at it, it is a giant rune, for the word shadow, is what it says. And he will then, 1, 2, 3, once he's finished with that, hand it over to Harshnag, and will, again, bid his adieus and leave.
So our 3-day limit on this thing is 3 days in the Shadowfell, and we have to use it and leave, but when we come back, that 3 days could be either a long time or a short amount of time?
Exactly.
Is that what the 3 days means? Okay. Does it have day-night cycles? How are we going to know when 3 days are up?
It does not. No day-night cycles.
Oh.
We'll know in our hearts.
You'll know in your hearts.
Is there chicken's no time?
Chicken's no time. That's true. Another great session title. Chicken's no time.
Chicken's no time.
I would say, actually, though, I do like that answer. I would say you can tell when 24 hours passes because Bruiser will let out, the rooster crow type deal. He'll do that once every 24 hours, at 8 o'clock in the morning or something.
This is starting to feel a little Majora's Mask.
Also pretty sure Bruiser's a girl.
Bruiser is...
Bruiser was a boy.
Bruiser's a...
Well, they
Bruiser
lay
Bruiser is a
eggs.
magical creature.
Bruiser is a magical creature that definitely does not conform to any gender at all. Bruiser's gender is yes.
But if you're Jack, then it's no.
Yes, exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I would say with plenty of preparation and a speech in your hearts about destroying vampires, Harshnag will look at all of you, you, Ava, in particular, and he'll almost have not really a tear in his eye, but he'll look very thankful. And he'll kind of say in a voice much quieter than he normally speaks, and he'll say thank you guys for doing this for me. I don't think I could live with knowing that innocent people are going to be trapped in a place like this.
Liddy does her best to hug whatever part of Harshnag she can.
His toe.
Harshnag will hug back and will draw Ava into the hug as well.
Ava will hug back. The druids are touchy-feely. Continues to be the theme.
Liddy's just gonna start trying to pull everyone into a big old group hug.
Group hug, group hug, group hug. Surprisingly little response to the group hug chant. Regardless, after a lack of group hugging, Harshnag will face the crater. He will hold the horn up to his mouth. He'll take a deep breath, and he'll huff and he'll puff, and then he'll blow into the horn, and it will let out a big, deep kind of guttural sound, followed by, I would say, muted screams. And after that sound plays, you guys all kind of blink your eyes, is anything gonna happen? And sure enough, you are brought to, I don't have a map for it, I'm just gonna bring you guys to the old map of the place, but it's gonna look different, don't worry. Where is it?
As a player, I'm not familiar with the whole Shadowfell thing. Is it like the Feywild where it's the same world but just in a shadowy
Yes.
filter?
Yes.
Okay.
But demi-planes of Dread are different in the sense that whoever makes it can pretty much be I want it to look like this, and I want it to be this kind of horrible. And then it will be that kind of horrible. And speaking of that kind of horrible, you guys appear, I would say, in the same place where you guys entered the town from originally. And you guys kind of rub your eyes, you guys look around, and there is no longer a river here. I think it's the Desserin River that runs through Womford. Let me change this to a better ambiance, to better reflect. Skip. Leave.
Before we get too far into it, is the fog still there? And if it is, do we still have to make our saving throws? Okay. Good.
I would say that there is still fog, but I would say that it's behind you at this point.
Okay. I can get rid of this stupid exhaustion. I remember that game board.
Oh man.
I always thought Queen Frostine was so pretty.
Right? In my drama class, 5 of us who knew how to paint all drew a portrait of Candyland on the side of one of the walls in the room.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, this'll work. This'll work. Is there a loop command? Can this bot loop? I'll just play it 100 times, and then that'll effectively loop it.
Listen to those keys.
All right, thanks. Thanks, robot. All right. So, as you enter, I would say you adjust your eyes to the darkness of this area, and though the town of Wamford still exists, the river that used to run through the town is now what appears to be just a bottomless ravine that kind of just sinks down into nothing. You can see that there are occasional tunnels, it seems like, that connect both sides of the river. But other than that, it is a pretty sheer drop down. The area around Wamford is completely it's just covered in a big misty dome. But if you look up at the sky, it seems like you're inside of some kind of cave. Like you can see stalagmites and things hanging from a ceiling thousands of feet in the air. And it's then when you get a better look at the town, and it has this I would say everything is covered in a gossamer film of spider webs, and the place where Ironford Keep is now a giant spider's nest, massive, huge spider's nest. You can see spiders creeping and crawling all over it. And Barge Right In, though flaming, is also, you can see spiders, big spiders, crawling every which way, sewing big webs. Some of them are beginning to cross across the ravine, build, big webs across. And it is a, spider-infested, horrible place.
Well, okay then.
Is this bridge still there?
The bridge is still there, but it looks quite rickety.
Oh.
Did you say Barge Right In is on fire?
I would say it's on fire. Yes, it is about to.
I would say it's on fire. Yes, I would say that.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit in flames.
Does Wamford as a city look any different from when we last saw it? Buildings changed, anything looks nicer and or worse than when we last saw it?
I would say that upon a close exam, upon just a glance, unless you're going to really investigate things, just glancing at it, all that I would say is you just notice the massive, thick spider webs are covering just about every inch of it. Between alleyways, there'd be these big spider webs that would stitch them closed and things like that. Between buildings, there'd be these big bridges of spiders.
Shady. Why? Why? You know I hate that. Oh.
I just like the bravery. That's impressive.
I hate you. Anyway.
Helio spontaneously learns Fireball.
Just a gut reaction.
Your clerical deity is you're gonna need this.
Exactly. She's like, hun, you need this. I know you're not ready for it. The sacrifice is worth it.
But
so
the only other thing I would say
still looks bad.
Before I let you guys roam free is that you see what you assume to be the same Nightwalker that you saw earlier, stalking the streets and area around Barge Right In, occasionally leaning down, grabbing the what you can make out to be the thin shape of a humanoid figure, and draining them of all life before dropping their shriveled corpse to the ground.
Ooh. She's gonna just lean towards Vesper and quickly tap her maul and just quickly cast magic weapon on it.
Okay, Vesper, you have a magic weapon now.
Sweet. We've got an hour. Okay. Most of the innocents came from Wamford, so I'm assuming we're just going to leave Barge Right In to fend for itself for now, and just head towards Wamford.
Harshnag will, for his part, immediately agree and will, he'll take his bag and he'll dump everything out of it onto the ground. Most of it's just food and other, miscellaneous garbage. And he'll say, "We'll keep them in here."
How big is the bag?
I would say big enough to fit, a couple people. I don't know if it's big enough to fit an entire town's worth of people, but it's big enough to fit a couple.
We could also just find them a safe place outside of the city to congregate at until we finish doing whatever it is that we're doing.
He'll nod and like agree. He'll agree to just about anything, so long as it results in them being safe. He'll agree to just about anything.
So just taking a quick scan of the city of Womford, is anyone out, or is it just like a ghost town?
I would say there are spiders creeping and crawling around, big spiders, in place of where people might be.
So we're just going to go in, guns blazing and sword things blazing, because Harshnag is quite tall and is more than likely easy to spot from far away. So if he's going to be going in there with us, which I'm assuming he is because he's all gung-ho about saving these people, there's going to be no element of surprise.
Alternatively, we could send Harshnag in as a distraction while we check the houses. See how safe the people are.
That's just Tia. Send him in to eliminate spiders. Are they? How are the size of them incomparable to Harshnag? Does he feel confident to take them on by himself?
Harshnag feels confident in taking anything on by himself.
Well,
so when you say big spiders, are they like tarantula, cat, or person?
I would say person. Well, they range in size. I would say from cat to person size. Although if you look at any surface in particular, you would see tarantula and smaller size spiders crawling on just about any surface in this area.
Note to self, don't touch anything.
Constant just like peppermint oil scent, prestidigitation all around Finch, trying to keep him away.
Me too, please.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So our task at the moment is find all innocents living in Womford and get them to come to where we are now, in this area, right outside the city. Does this feel like a safe enough place? Or, I have a question.
Yes.
Liddy, your grove, is that something that you could make appear here and it could last for the day so that they have a safe place to hide in? Or do you need to be in it?
Let me look up the spell really quick because I don't have it remembered in my head.
Do the spiders look like they're... Two questions. One, do the spiders look like they're all friends with each other, or is there infighting? And the second question is, do the smaller ones look normal?
I would say all the spiders look normal in the sense that they're, not weird-looking spiders. Except for, being varying in size from small to, person. And I would say... as for infighting, I would say that there's no infighting. They all seem united in their goal of, cobwebbing up this whole town.
Yeah, so Druid Grove... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it lasts for 24 hours. And, it doesn't look like I have to stay in it. And I can make a password, so anyone with the password can get in without a problem.
Okay, that's great. So would you be able to do that, and then it would be identifiable to the citizens that we just send in this area? Because I'm assuming none of us can stay here. We're all going to be going in there as a group, and then just collecting them, telling them, hey, there's this dome grove thing outside the city by the... I'm assuming we're over here by the ravine where we were last time.
Yes, similar location.
Okay.
How are they gonna get there safely?
Well, that's the thing. I think we would have to find a safe path for them to go through and
Well,
hope that
and
whatever Harshnag's doing is going to create that for them.
yeah, I wasn't here, but wasn't there something about some of the citizens being under a thrall of some sort?
Do we have a way to determine which are which?
I would say a vampiric thrall would be less willing to cower in fear from a spider, giant spider attack. But obviously some are more cunning than others.
I don't want to give the password to someone who might pass it on to the wrong people.
Well, there's that bartender that we spoke to. And I'm assuming he would be familiar enough with most of the innocent people of Womford to be able to help them.
If he's alive.
We have holy water. We could just
Renan,
flick
that's his name.
some at anyone who wants to go, and if they don't get hurt by it, they're good.
I mean, the only known vampire that we know of is Eric. There was no mention at any time that there was another vampire roaming Womford.
There is
because the Womford bat was Eric.
Thrall.
I don't want to give you guys any hints, but I do want to say this. Nobody did insight check the claim that half the town was under a thrall. Nobody incited that.
And Troy will also point out that one of the people she talked to was a vampire thrall.
That was in Barge Right Inn. That wasn't in Womford.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the people in Barge Right Inn were the Zentarum and the people working with Eric being vampires. The people that we saw in Womford were the innocent ones.
I mean, I imagine vampires don't like this place that much, given spiders are probably fighting them.
I mean, we could do what was Ava suggested and just sprinkle some on our hand and find a way to just splash it or touch a person just to make sure it doesn't affect them. But as far as we know, the citizens that were living in Womford were all just innocent people going about their day, but were exhausted because of that domain of dread that was surrounding the area. The people across the river, or ravine now, were the ones who were the not so great people.
I'm not certain how helpful this is, but me and Liddy could turn into spiders if we need to investigate how far their webs go.
Could you turn into spiders that look like those?
Considering out of character, Charlie said they look normal, so I'm gonna assume so.
Yes, you could totally turn into. You could totally turn into.
And I think
that kind of spider.
I think the rule with wild shape too is as long as you've seen the animal, you can become it.
That sounds like a rule to me.
Would you be able to transform into a spider, but that has a distinctive mark so that we know that you are you and not a different spider?
I think you'd have to add the mark.
I've got you.
Tie ribbons on their legs, or at least one.
Just like go the biggest small spider you can, and I'll get a ribbon for you.
I would like to change into a spider.
Yeah, I'll
become
also be
spider.
A spider. I'll be one of the smaller spiders so that I can get into the smaller spaces.
Okay.
Oh, do you want me to be one of the big ones? Who can cover more ground, or are the big ones spider sized, or just like very large, small spiders?
Big ones are human sized. Is there a division between like what the small ones and the big ones are doing? Like, are the big ones going places the small ones never approach or anything?
I would say they're all just kind of all over the place. They don't really have. They don't seem to have any other goals besides just covering the entire place in like webs.
think it's probably better if we are small. Remain beneath the notice of any others.
That makes sense.
They're two small spiders with ribbons on one of the legs so that we know you are you. Hoshna goes into the city and just starts eliminating all the other spiders, and the rest of us as a group go and find as many innocent people as we can and try to get them into the grove. Yes?
Oh, before I turn spider, I will make the grove and I will set the password to be garlic.
Okay. All right, works for me.
Speak
Password
garlic and enter.
Speak
So-
garlic.
So we're just doing like a situation
And every
where... Sorry.
I was just gonna say every person who goes in has to say it. You can't like say it once for a group.
Mm. Your grove, the grove that you create has like little fairy folk around it, right?
Sorry, what?
The grove that you create, what is it called?
Druid Grove.
Druid Grove. That it creates like little fairy folk around it, doesn't it?
Little grove attendants.
So there's fog, there's like vines, there are awakened trees.
Grove guardians. Oh, those are the trees.
Yeah, the trees.
I thought that there was like fairy things. Well, I was just thinking like something like the Grove Guardians. They could be like just assistance, single file line. Like everybody say the password and then go in and just make sure. Like I don't know.
I mean,
what
the trees, the Grove Guardians might be able. I don't know how intelligent they are.
I would
they
say
can't hack things, can they?
They have the same stats as an awakened tree. They can't speak though.
I would say they'd be intelligent enough to like guide people through, like if they knew they were friends, but
If they've made the garlic pact.
And now the druids have become warlock patrons of the garlic.
The Garlic Grove.
So to clarify the plan, we're having like big guy go up, just kind of start attacking stuff while we go into a house, get the people out, go into another house, get the people out, get like a small group, then all of us go back because I don't want to leave him alone for too long. Strong or not, there's there's a chance he might die.
I'm assuming that because of if he needs help, we could I'll give him like a a sort of call out phrase if he needs us to help, and then we could just drop whatever it is that we're doing, send the last people that we were helping, and then just go find him. And with his height, would he be taller than most of the buildings in Wamford?
Oh yeah, definitely taller.
Then it would be easy for us to spot where he is and then just head towards where he is and help him.
Ilya would pipe
Well,
in.
and
Do you want me to give him the coin?
The coin.
Would the coin be able to you can communicate with the coin, but what would the coin do in terms of communicating with Poshnag?
I mean, if he needs help, he can just throw it into the city from where he is and tell it to come find us.
Oh, okay. That could be a thing too.
we could also, once we get the first few groups of people into the grove, maybe have a couple of them, if they volunteer, to guide folks from the edge of the city to the grove.
We'll need to give
Once
them
that
weapons.
Or hopefully they have some already. I do have a crossbow that I don't really need. I say let's go find Renan at the inn. What was the name of that inn?
It's the Spitfire Inn, in case
Spitfire
that's...
Inn. Okay. Yes. So let's head straight for the inn because I'm assuming Renan, because he seemed to be pretty competent than the ones who were just kind of drudging along around the town when we were there, that he could direct us to possibly where people live, and then he could be the one to head towards the grove first, and then as we send people, he could like help them in. Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
seems paranoid enough to make sure none of them are vampire thralls.
We do have an extra flask of holy oil, or holy water, not oil, water, so we could give it to him if he feels like he would need it. Oh no, he had his own. He had his own little glass vial of holy water. So he's got his own. We don't need to give him a flask. Okay. Yes. So Harshnag, go ham on anything that you see that's bad, except for our 2 spiders with the ribbons on them. And then let's all head towards Spitfire Inn. Liddy and Ava, are you guys also going to be following us as well, or are you guys going to go off and search for things together?
Maybe we can sort of follow the same direction as you, but kind of dart off to the side every now and then to see what we see.
Yeah, I actually had another question. You said that webs are beginning to, like, bridge this ravine. Are they, like, fully across and they're just reinforcing it, or...?
I would say there are some that are fully across, but none of them are too sturdy. I would say that they are, like, they're still a while out from, like, fully bridging the gap.
If we're very small, we could attempt to sneak into Barge Right and seek out the tunnels Eric mentioned.
We should probably do that once we get the majority of innocents out of the city. Just so that you two don't go off specifically on your own, and then we would be right behind you.
He'll nod then. If they're bridging up everything, knowing spiders, it's possible they have a nest somewhere they're storing any humans they got to. We could search for anything like that.
Could do that too. I just don't want anybody to get too far away from one another.
I think Helio, instead of using the coin, he's going to just leave his owl familiar with,
Horshnag?
yeah,
Okay.
with the stipulation that if anything bad happens, come find me.
Okay.
Well, tip tip, right?
Tip
Tip tip,
tip.
tip tip.
Hip
Cheerio.
hip cheerio. Hey, I was gonna say the same. I had the same thing.
Okay, so plan of action. One final time. Harshnag kills spiders. We go to Spitfire Inn to help Renan. Renan goes to the Grove. We start finding all the people that he tells us, and maybe even more. And Ava Spider, Liddy Spider follows around us, but also investigates the areas that we go around. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah, like, I imagine, and you can correct me if this is not the plan, but I imagine sort of doing recon on, like, the very heavily webbed areas where, like, you could not just easily slip in and check for a person.
Yeah. As long as it's within Womford City, I think that should be safe enough. I don't want anyone to go across the ravine without the rest of the party following.
And I can also... What are we most worried about with Harshnag? Because I have Enhanceability prepared today, but I don't know if it's any specific ability we're worried about over just him getting overwhelmed.
Just him getting overwhelmed, really.
Yeah, I don't know if there was anything really specific that we felt like he would need help with.
Alrighty then. That sounds like a plan.
Okay. So, break.
Okay. And with that, Harshnag will break off full sprint into the town and get ready for spider annihilation. And you'll see, like, on his way, there's, like, a couple of spiders, like out here, like, some of them maybe, like, crossing the bridge. He'll, like, football kick one, like, right into the ravine, as he runs in, and he'll let out, like, a battle cry as he charges into the town and begins just, like, slaughtering, maiming any spider in vision.
Oh, yeah, are we gonna, like, sneak around the town, or are we just gonna try and walk?
No, we're not gonna... I don't think we've got time to be stealthy.
Okay.
And I think they're probably gonna be looking at Harshnag.
Yeah.
Alright,
but we do... we're not going to be stealthy, but we do want to at least keep an eye out for whatever the big baddie is, and or Eric. So any bats, any, like, anything like that, just kind of glance around for occasionally while we're going throughout the city trying to get these people.
Yeah, and just every so often I'll look back at the Nightwalker and make sure that it's not interested in what's happening on the side of the ravine.
I would say that upon hearing Harshnag and his thing, I would say it looks over and has, like, a menacing kind of distant look in its eyes, but it continues to kind of stalk its prey. It seems like it has plenty of people on that side of the bridge that it is dealing with.
Alrighty then.
Go save some people and be heroes, like Jack said. Because Jack wants to be a hero.
All right.
Not Jack the Ripper, Jack the Hero.
Big difference.
That Jack the Ripper, that was my cousin's name.
Yeah.
All right, where to, gang? Where to?
Spitfire in.
All right. So, as you guys enter the town, again, the path now paved with spider guts. Even, like, the blades of grass in the town kind of, like, both in the town, like, on the sides of the road and things, like, every little blade of grass seems to be, like, a spider leg, kind of writhing as though it was separated from a spider body. Like, the dirt, as it crackles under your feet, instead of making, like, a stone kind of, like, crunching noise, it makes, like, the sound of, like, a bug carapace being stepped on. And all the bushes and trees are either dead and caked over with webs, or are infested with spiders, like, crawling out of every hole, every pore. It is horrid. But as you get closer to the center of town, most of the streets are already blocked off, but you do manage to find one alleyway to squeeze through. And as you squeeze through, you kind of, like, are shooing away the webs, kind of, like, using your swords and whatever to kind of, like, cut them away. I would say, Helio, you would know this was the alley that Azrael was in before she just poofed away. And I would say on the ground, you guys find one slightly rotting pastry still lying there on the ground with a bright red, sort of, like, cherry-looking thing on top of it.
Julio's gonna fly down and smush it.
Okay. Smush, smush, smush. All right. But besides that, you come out, I would say, into the town square, and the first thing that strikes you is the statue that once sort of, like, dominated the town square is now both toppled and again, like, just covered in webs. It looks as though it was, like, cocooned, well, it looks like centuries ago, but obviously this place has only been here for a little bit, which just goes to show you how time passes differently here. And all the buildings themselves also look like they've been rotting and decaying for several years, like, the more you look at them. like the wood inside, like the wood that holds up some of the buildings is, I would say, like both rotting and full of holes and things like that. And the only thing that sticks out, I would say, is there is one sole light inside the, like you can see from the window of Spitfire Inn, there is a light that, like a small lantern inside the windowsill. The windowsill is otherwise, like, there's a curtain that's drawn closed, but there is a lantern in the windowsill.
Helio would look at everybody and be like, what if we just, and he'd do a light it up sort of motion.
No! We're not setting that on fire.
It would get rid of all the creepy crawlies.
And if there's people inside of it?
They'll just come running out and we'll guide them through the little place that we're supposed to take.
Hey, make me a perception check really quick. My nature people. I want Liddy and Ava. Actually, no, are Liddy and Ava with the group, or are they not with the group?
They are around the group. Like, I imagine they're sort of fulfilling the role of occasionally they'll split off to check a little hole of webs, but they are staying close enough that they know where the group is.
Yeah.
Both of you guys make me perception checks.
Also, can I have the Lantern of Revealing on while we're going through the city too?
You can.
Okay.
I would say with that perception check, with both of those perception checks, astoundingly well. You guys see these, so the lantern in the window, you crawl up towards it because it's, the first thing that sticks out in this sort of like gloomy, otherwise dark area. It's almost hard to see, so you kind of crawl over to it. But you notice that everywhere the lantern's light touches, there is not only no spiders, but no spider webs at all. And not only that, but the ground and the areas it touches still seem to have a bit of like how they looked like on the Prime. Like they're not as rotted and they're not as, destroyed by time.
Huh.
And I would say that when Vesper lights her lantern, a similar effect appears in the area the lantern's light touches. The webs kind of fade away. You can still feel them. They're still there. It's just that they're not visible. They kind of fade away. And you can see what the town used to look like before it was sucked down here. And I guess with that perception check, the only other thing I'll say is that you would hear inside the tavern, you would hear, I would say, 4 or 5 voices talking amongst themselves. Talking about, a plan of action. Where they're supposed to go next.
Okay, so when you say, with the Lantern of Revealing, it sort of fades away, but it's still there. If I, try and crawl on somewhere where I knew a web was, can I, am I essentially sort of just hovering?
Kind of, yes. If somebody were to look very closely, they might be able to make out a web, but it's it fades away.
Alright.
Helio would just be like, I'm just saying, let's leave the offer on the table as a backup.
I'm gonna knock on the door.
Okay.
Renan!
You knock on the door, and I would say you hear some shuffling on the inside, but there's no immediate response.
Renan, it's the people from earlier, the people that you talked to. The tiefling and the blue elf. We've come to save you and help you. Open the door!
I would say the door will slowly creak open, as though kind of pushed from afar, and then somebody quickly pushed it and then ran away. And inside the inn, it's pitch black essentially. There is not a single light inside.
I'll go in. Slowly.
And she'll
Okay.
be right behind Vesper.
As you enter, the first thing that catches your eye is, I guess this place was already kind of decrepit and gross before, but now it's even more gross. It's all like run down, covered in spider webs. But you see a couple of figures, people like cloaked, like in cloaks, kind of huddling around another like lantern, similar in make and model to the one that was in the window. And as you enter, they shush you very like loudly.
I shuffle in.
Okay.
I will stay outside because I think a spider would freak these guys out right now. But also just making sure like no spiders are noticing this open door.
All right. No spiders are like actively coming towards it. They're all just kind of, skittering about, doing their thing. And I would say you see Harshnag. Even you guys are here. Harshnag's maybe like here. You would just watch Harshnag again brutalize tons and tons of spiders. I would say like it does not matter the size of the spider. It seems as though there are no number of spiders that Harshnag will not destroy. And I would say, like, you'll see Harshnag, like, grab two spiders and, like, clap them together in his hands, sending spider guts flying everywhere. He'll, like, pick some of them up and, like, again, huck them off the edge. He's just having a great time with it. Like, he's really enjoying his time destroying every one of these spiders. And more of them are crawling out of the woodworks to come and engage him. But, despite that, the people that you guys are like you approach, as you approach them, they're all kind of sitting on bar stools around this like one table that has been set up that has this lantern on it. They pull out two more chairs for you, Vesper and Finch, and they kind of like gesture you to sit.
I'll sit.
Yeah.
All right. As you do, you'll see three like smaller figures and then two like more like bigger figures, like closer to like average human size. One of them is kind of sniffling a little bit. One of the smaller figures is sniffling, and the other two are holding what appear to be like stuffed animals. And finally, one of them speaks up, and they're like, Do you work for Renan? Do you work for him?
Specifically work for him. We did meet him and spoke to him.
He'll say, Do you know how to get out? He has a secret tunnel under this place. He's been taking survivors, but I don't know where it is. He said he'd be back, but it's been a long time.
Tunnel. He did not mention a secret tunnel to us, but we could try looking around for it. If you haven't been able to find it.
He'll say, like, he'll gesture you to go look, but he will mention, like, you have to be quiet. These spiders, they're everywhere. One slight noise and they'll come and they'll get you.
You know if there are any in here?
He'll just kind of huddle closer to his lantern and he'll say, whatever it is, they don't come near this lantern. And that's all I care about.
Okay. I will go looking for a secret tunnel.
Okay.
And she'll stay here and just try to like keep everyone calm.
Okay. I would say after kind of getting a better look at them, there are three children, this kind of like big, kind of like tubby looking dude, and his wife, who is, I would say, similarly kind of big and somewhat tubby. And they have three children, each of them kind of like plump children. I would say the oldest one maybe about like 12, 13, the youngest one maybe like only 2 or 3.
I'm gonna just like quietly cast message and see if I can contact the barkeep guy. 120 feet.
I wish this map was to scale. I would say...
Wow.
I would say you wouldn't get anything. I would say 120 feet. He's outside of 120 feet.
Mm-hmm.
But Vesper, make me an investigation check. I want my spider ambiance to keep playing, but my spider ambiance has ended. That's why it is so quiet.
Good old-fashioned spider ambiance.
Come here, spider ambiance. Let's have some spider ambiance. Spider... That's good enough. Alright. There we go. Alright. So. Let me pull up my notes. Okay, so with that investigation check, you rummage around this whole building. It's not very big. Despite its kind of like big, grandiose exterior, most of it is fairly hollow. And you eventually make your way into a back office, which the door is open, and there's actually still a key in the lock. You open it, and there is, among like just some other kind of like miscellaneous stuff, you see a closet door is open, and I would say like it's kind of like rummaged about in a way that you kind of think like somebody must have done something here, and you kind of like shuffle through it for a moment. And sure enough, behind everything, there is a like wooden kind of small hatch door that you would have to crawl through to get into. And you open it up, and it leads down into like a small, like looks like tunnel system.
Perfect. I will go back to the group of people and Finch, and I'm assuming Jack and Helio came in here with us as well. And
I don't think Jack has left the pocket.
Oh, you're still in the pocket. Ooh. Okay. Helio and Finch and the group of people know what I found, and we could go with them down the tunnels to go find Renon, and just escort them to make sure they get there safely. Is this everyone that's left in the city that you know of?
They will like shrug. The husband, he'll like nod enthusiastically, like, yes, this is everyone. But the wife will be a little bit more unsure, and she'll mention, oh, but my friend Lee, she's not here. At least I haven't seen her. Maybe she's with Renan, but I haven't seen her anywhere. And she'll list off a bunch of names that like she has not heard from yet.
Helio wants to know why they didn't go with him.
They'll express that they got here somewhat late. The father, Garth, he was busy fighting a spider to like get out of their homes while everyone else was running. And Garth has experience as a wandering like sword for hire, so he was like most equipped to deal with a giant spider that was kind of blocking the way. And his family waited for him, so that's why they're kind of stuck behind.
Can Helio insight that?
You can incite that.
Could I my perception's not very good, but while this is also happening, could I or anybody do like a look over these people and check for fangs and are they vampires?
I would say with that insight check, you believe him. You believe him.
Checks out to me.
I would say you could even you can kind of confirm it just with visual evidence. You can see he's got a small, kind of crude dagger on his hip and a hilt. He's in, I would say, light kind of scale mail armor, and he's decked out in what you would assume a cheap set of adventuring gear. That would cost no more than 10 gold pieces total. I would also say that it doesn't cover him very well because of his rotund nature.
Nobody looks like a vampire.
There's fat vampires. They're out there.
Well, I'm looking specifically for just the red piercing eyes and the fangs.
Give me an Arcana or investigation check.
Joe over here fat shaming the vampires.
Not fat shaming them. I just want to make sure that they're safe so that when we get into this tunnel, we're not going to be ambushed by a family of vamps.
They seem to check out. I mean, like, you look at them, you look them up and down, you kind of, like, do the thing where, like a veterinarian does with, like, an animal, they, like, open their mouths a little bit to see their teeth, you like, look in there, like, is that big enough to be a vampire, like, canine? How does that look, and, like, you're kind of, like...
water, holy water on them?
Yeah, you can. And despite your kind of incessant probing, they turn up nothing. They turn up nothing.
Okay.
Even the garlic test turns up nothing.
Okay. Then Helio's fine.
Okay. I will go outside to Spider Liddy and Spider Ava, let them know we're going to take these people down to a tunnel and find where Renan is sending the people, and for them to continue looking around the city for people, and then when we get back, if they could tell us where they found any leftover people that we could bring down the tunnel as well.
The spider does a little crouch, and then a not crouch, and then another crouch, in what you might do is a nod.
Spider Liddy waves the leg that has the ribbon on it.
All right. We'll do Tunnel Gang first. I will do you guys first. So, you guys begin your trek into this tunnel. I would say that, Vesper, even in the short time you left, you left for maybe, 10, 15 minutes to make sure these people weren't vampires, to inform the groups and things, and then come back. There's already, you kind of, cleared away a layer of spider webs that were covering the door and, the clothes in the closet and things like that. You left that for not very long, and there's already a very thick cobweb covering everything that you have to dust out of the way before you can get to the door itself. The children alongside you are on the verge of crying. They don't like it here. They don't want to be here. And they all just kind of seem uneasy. But they do believe that this is probably their best bet. So they follow you quite willingly into this small, hollowed out tunnel, essentially. And you get in and you realize that this was all dug by hand. This is a hand dug very small tunnel. And you can even see the occasional trowel or spoon or something left in the path that was used to dig it. And it goes on for quite some ways. And you occasionally see the floorboards of other houses above you as you crawl through. But it is surprisingly untouched by spiders. It is surprisingly unwebbed. And as you crawl through, I would say you crawl for a good while. It's slow going because it never gets any wider than you have to really crawl through it. In fact, it probably would get smaller some places. But after a bit of crawling, you eventually end up at a small stepladder made out of spare parts from bar stools. And there's a hatch that is up above, and through the hatch leaks a bit of light.
Open the hatch and go through.
All right. You open the hatch, and you are immediately met with 3 blades pointed right at your neck. You see Renan in his kind of scared, timid-looking form holding a rapier, and you see 2, you see, I would say, one kind of bigger lady, a beefier lady, lots of muscle, holding like a big, like holding a knife to your neck in one hand, and then she's got a giant like mace in the other hand, like getting ready to clock it down to your forehead. And then the last thing you see is a younger boy, who can't be more than like 17, 18 years old, with a similarly made like dagger to the one that you saw on the kind of like rotund guy's hip. And they're all pointed at you, and like they're all shaking and trembling a little bit, and it's kind of like a very like quiet standstill as they wait for you to say something.
Esper, what's taking so long? Helios just gonna fly up past her.
This is quite the welcome. Do you remember me from the other night?
I would say, first of all, Helio, I would say you get like attempted to be swatted at by the spare mace in the kind of beefier girl's hand, but she misses in kind of her like half focus. And Renan looks at you, Vesper, and he says, "Yes, I do, but you might be a vampire. How do I know you're not a vampire?"
I show him my teeth. And don't you have that little vial of holy water? Feel free to just drip some on me. It's not going to do anything, though.
He'll make me a persuasion check. He will roll me his stats really quick, because I think he might be able to be paranoid enough to beat that 18. He might be paranoid enough to beat it. Actually, just pull it up over here. No, he is not paranoid enough. He'll reach for the holy water, and he'll like go as close as he can to like uncorking it, but then he'll think better of it, he'll put it down, and he'll like start helping you guys up silently.
I'll help pull the people through the hole.
All right. And out of the hole comes a whole bunch of people. And you look around, and you're inside a sort of like a plaster like store, like storehouse. There's like grains and other essentials, grains, like big barrels full of water and alcohol. You see like there's like easily preserved things, like dried meats and other things. And you see that the doors are made of a very thick, like iron plated wood, essentially. Like, you can see like there's like iron plating surrounding like a wooden door. And it does have windows, but they're very, very thin, like arrow slit type windows. And you can tell it's kind of like a bunker, like a safe house, essentially. And the few people that are in there are all, again, huddled around. There's a couple of lights, each one, like they've got 2 torches and a lantern lighting up this small room. And they welcome you in, and they kind of wait for you guys to say something.
Where are we?
He'll gesture, and he'll say, this is it belongs to Yia, the town's priest. She hasn't been seen since everything happened, but this is our storeroom, and potential like bunker in case things go sour. She made it in case any vampires attacked, but evidently it wasn't the vampires.
Okay. Well, we have a safe place outside of the city for you all to stay in. It is near the tree line by the bridge, and we could help you there so that you could stay in it until we can all figure out how to get everything back to where it's supposed to be.
Vesper.
Yeah. Oh, go start splashing holy water.
Immediately, he starts sprinkling it at, just flicking it at.
Okay, I would say none of them turn up anything. I would say of the maybe I would say there are about 15 people in this room. None of them turn up anything. But Renan and his compatriots gather around and they begin they kind of get into a group huddle, and Renan, you don't hear exactly what they're saying, but they Renan especially sounds very suspicious. He's like, I do not trust anything that these people are I'm not buying what they're selling. And eventually the kind of buffer girl will turn to you, and she'll say, I would be willing to come. I could be persuaded to come. But what's your plan? If you've been trapped here with us, there's no way we're getting out of here.
We have an idea. Currently, there is a frost giant within the city, taking out as many spiders as he can.
I would say this point, Renan will do the cartoon feint, and he'll say a frost giant. That's not what we needed.
He is a friend and an ally.
He'll look
Our
very
plan
unsure.
was to help secure you citizens into a safe place, and then find who did this, and basically kill them.
They will again huddle around and come back again. This time under the voice of the kind of buff girl, and she'll say, I'll go and Brinseth, you're coming with me.
Finch, help me.
What do you want me to say?
I don't know, just help me persuade more of them.
Look, this is a clearly terrifying situation, and as safe as I'm sure you feel you are in this bunker, let's be realistic here. It's a basement. You're not gonna... The spiders will get in here. It's only one crack and they found you. We have a place where you will genuinely be safe and protected until we can get everyone out of this horrible place. Why not just take the chance?
It's covered in druidic magic. There are trees that will guard you there. And there's a fog that will keep everything hidden from bad things. It's definitely much safer than just being huddled up underground like this.
Make me a persuasion check with advantage.
Me or Finch? Finch, how's your persuasion?
I want you to guess.
I think it's
a plus 12.
Oh, I thought it was a plus 11.
Right.
Oh yeah, they after a bit of talking, they all agree that that's the best course of action. Though Renan does say that he believes that there are others holed up in the church in the center of town. He's not entirely sure of that fact, but when things started falling apart, he saw plenty of people running into the church. He does not know if they're still alive.
We will go there as soon as we make sure that you guys can get your way out of the city safely and find the rest of the peoples if they are in there, and then bring them to us. Or bring them to you, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Take them with us and bring them to you.
Without much more convincing, they'll pack up their stuff and they will all grab onto their weapons, all four of them that are arms, and they will kind of form a very makeshift phalanx type formation, and will follow behind you as close as possible.
Does anybody know how to use a crossbow? I have a crossbow if you want to use it. If you know how to use it.
You will hear deafening silence.
No? Okay. Then I'll keep it.
But with that, are you guys just going
I'll
outside?
lead. Yeah. I'll lead everybody out. I'll be the tank this time.
Remember you have magical weapon, which is +1.
Yeah, so that means it's a +9 to hit, boy.
Can someone go tell the others what we're doing?
Yes. Once I get out into the room, Finch, could you send a message to Ava and Liddy and let them know what we're doing?
Yeah.
And to start heading towards the church. Don't go inside, but just hang around the church.
Yeah, Finch will head out and start sending the messages.
Okay. We'll cut to my druid gang. Druid gang, we're gonna cut to you as you guys have been kind of squirming and squithering around this. That's not a word, but I'm gonna make it a word. Squithering. I really like that word. That feels good to say. As you guys have been squirming and squithering around this town, you guys see. You guys eventually get this message from Finch, and I would say the most of your time you don't turn up anything other than kind of just ruined houses. Most of them ruined not by the spiders, in fact. Most of them just seem to be, like, neglected by time. But you do eventually get the message, and you figure, I guess it's time to go to the church. Unless you guys have a better plan.
No. Probably gonna follow through on that. I just want to ask, were any of the houses, were any of them actually ruined by spiders?
I would say a couple were, but not as many as you would have thought.
Okay, and the second question is, in the ones that were there any corpses?
Again, you don't think so. Like, there were occasionally, like, big lumps of cobweb that looks kind of like cocoons that you might, like, find, like, a corpse in. But, you didn't see any, like, evidence of, like, actual corpses, like, no signs of a struggle or anything.
And no alive people either?
Again, no. It would be mostly dead. There would be no, inhabitants anywhere around the village that you guys would find. Well, actually, before I say that, because you guys are make me, both of you, investigation checks. I would say that both of you would spot, you'll like be just about to turn around, but you'll hear, you'll hear kind of like a scratching noise coming from behind one of the doors, and you're like, well, what's one more door to check, whatever. You open it, and inside is a small, like, Pomeranian type dog, that is kind of like scratching at the door, like desperately trying to get out.
Are there currently any spiders, in the house watching us?
I would say you feel like there are spiders watching you from everywhere, but you don't feel any immediately threatening spiders watching you.
I'm just wondering how safe we think it is to turn human.
I would say you think it's pretty safe. I would say, like, there's no like human-sized spiders, like, within eyeshot currently.
Technical question.
Go for it.
The webbing that's everywhere, is it really more like cobwebs, or is it actual, like, webs that the spiders are producing?
It's webs the spiders are producing, like, it's actual, like, spider web.
Because while we are spiders, we have web sense, which is while in contact with a web, we know the exact location of any other creature also in contact with that web.
Okay. I would say, again, you do feel like there are tons of spiders just about.
Right.
But there's no, like, you don't get the presence of any, like, big spiders. Like, the biggest spider you might get is, like, maybe, like, tarantula-sized spider. It's, like, the biggest spider you're picking up on your spider radar.
Cool.
Then I guess I will shift back into a human and try to pick up this dog.
Okay.
I would like to check its teeth.
Is it a vampire dog?
So you lean down to pick it up, and as you kind of like, you have it in your hands and you're picking it up, it's like you'll kind of like almost lose your grip on it for a second, and it will morph into a small little halfling, very very small, and she'll look up at you and she'll say like, I was trying to lure him. What are you doing? Stop! Don't touch me! Get away from me!
Abba will dutifully step back, but lure who?
I was trying to get the attention of there's been this big spider crawling about. I was thinking if I could just get its attention, I could get it.
While this small halfling is speaking, do I see fangs?
No, I would say you don't see fangs.
Okay. Bigger than the rest of the giant spiders?
Well, it was this big, like shadowy spider, big and like it had like 1,000,000 legs and 1,000,000,000 eyes. It was huge, and I figured if I would like bark at it, it might come back. But I don't know. It's been a while, and I haven't heard anything.
So I know it's a halfling and is therefore small, but does it seem like a child halfling or an adult?
Adult halfling, like
Okay.
maybe like young adult halfling.
Gotcha.
Still full of like that childlike sense of wonder.
Are you here alone? We're searching for survivors.
She'll like look up at both of you and she'll say, I'm with the Emerald Enclave. We had a small group in town, but I lost contact with them. I don't know where they went. But then things went haywire, screwy. I don't know, things went weird. And I've just been doing my best to not die.
I will look at the spider that came in with me. Wait, Liddy didn't transform back, right?
No, she's still spider.
Do you think we should wait for the others? Or just try and escort her out ourselves?
We've gotten the message to head to the church, yes?
Yes, you have.
Spider Liddy will draw out a building shape with her legs in the dirt if she can.
Okay.
And kind of point in whatever direction the church is, and then point at the halfling and point at her and Ava.
Okay, then that if you're with the Emerald Enclave, you can fight at least a little, right?
She'll nod very, very enthusiastically. And
Come
I will say, she'll gesture to a pile of all tarantula-sized spiders, all dead. None of them, like, you might think that this is, like, maybe one, like, like, swarm of spiders worth of spiders. It's not a ton of spiders. Like, it's a good chunk, but it's not, like, none of these are particularly impressive spiders.
Alright, he'll nod then and say, we're headed to the church where we heard there may be more survivors. If you could turn into a dog and follow us there.
She'll nod, and after just a split second, she will change back into a little Pomeranian, and will gladly follow along.
And Abba's going to, I guess, tie the ribbon, which has surely now fallen off, around his wrist, and then turn back into his spider, trying to keep it on him.
Okay.
If it doesn't, Liddy will pick it up with her, like, pinchers and, like, use some webbing to stick it on to the side of Ava. Spider Ava.
Beautiful. But, yes, you guys make your way through the town. I need to know, before you guys go anywhere, are you guys going to have any light sources on you?
Probably not, because we're 3 animals.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think we're just...
So, as you guys are traversing the town, I would say,
Spiders do have dark vision.
I would say with your spidery senses, your spider senses are tingling in the sense that a weird Pomeranian dog wandering around is catching a lot of weird spider glances. Like, are we supposed to be eating that kind of glances? You know, you kind of get like the, are we supposed to be eating this thing kind of vibes from just about everything that you walk past. Your Pomeranian friend does not seem to notice and continues to march very triumphantly down the streets.
I love her so much.
I would say the only thing kind of like saving you guys currently from like all-out war in the streets with these spiders is they are all still focused on Harshnag, who has now taken to using this fallen statue as a makeshift club and is just smashing the ever-living like Christ out of anything that comes within smashing range.
Excellent.
When we were near the house, I'm just checking. I don't know how far into it they were, so I'm assuming that when they like said the spiders don't come near the lantern, we were too far away to hear it.
You guys were the ones that made the observation of the spiders not coming near the lantern, so...
Oh, I thought that was just of the webbing not coming near the lantern.
Oh, I guess, yeah, technically. But I would say you could make the assumption that if there was no spider anything around the lantern, at the very least it would, you know, keep the spiders at bay.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna keep that in my back pocket as like a plan if they do attack the dog. But for now, we're trying to stay somewhat incognito.
Okay. I would say after a good jog, you make it to the church, and if there are people in here, they're doing a very good job of remaining like incognito. The door seems to be boarded up. The whole building seems like it's kind of collapsing in on itself. If there are people in there, it is quite well hidden.
Is there a spider-sized hole one of us could squeeze through?
Yeah, I would say there's spider-sized holes just about everywhere. You can spider-size your way through anything.
Is there a dog-sized hole we could bring our friend?
For sake of plot, I'll say there is a dog-sized, like a doggy door. There's a doggy door that she can come through, with like a little flap and everything.
And before we enter, do we with web sense any big boys in there?
I would say currently not yet. Currently, you don't sense any big boys.
Okay. Then yeah, just pop on through.
Okay. You enter, and I have an image for this, although I didn't actually import it to the campaign, so I want to see if I can find it on my computer. Give me 1 second.
I have now thought of the image of just a stack of two spiders, one standing on top of the other, standing on top of the Pomeranian's head.
Yes, yes. Both of the spiders having ribbons, too.
Oh, I lost the image. That's unfortunate. I don't know where it is. All right, whatever. But so you'll enter, and it's this very like extravagant cathedral. With like beautiful marble work just about everywhere. These massive pillars, and like pews that line the whole building. And at the center of it all is, I have to figure out what holy symbol this guy uses. At the center of it all, there is a sort of like a scale, like one of those like scales that represents like balance, like law and order, those kinds of scales, you know what I mean? Like the ones that like you use like in court for whatever reason, you know what I'm talking about? Like a balance, I guess that's what they're called.
Yeah, like the Libra symbol.
I don't know what that is, but that, yes.
Yeah, you're right.
That, and it's that, but held up by like a bony skeleton hand is holding up the middle of it. And that kind of symbol is plastered in like a kind of decaying stained glass window at the far end of the cathedral, with a big like altar underneath it, that is, it still has some lit candles, surprisingly. But the rest of the building seems fairly empty. And in the doorway, you'll notice that there's a big bell that has fallen down from the bell tower onto the ground.
Big enough that there might be a person under it?
Potentially, but if they were under there, they might be dead.
That is fair. Then I'm gonna check around the altar with the candles.
Okie dokie.
I'm gonna just kind of do a quick lap or two around the room to see if I can find, like, hidden doorways or a place where people might be hiding.
I would say you don't notice that, but as you're looking around, I would say that this building from the inside seems smaller than it did from the outside. Like, the surface area in here does not seem to match the building that you saw on the outside. The building outside seemed bigger than this.
Right.
But you, I would say you kind of get that information,
like,
but, like?
Longer and wider or taller?
Longer and wider.
Okay.
Like, to use this map as a visual, like, you guys are in, like, this bit here, if you guys are even on this map. But, like, this, like, outhouse in the back here, not outhouse, but, you know, like, a small, like, house behind the house, you don't see that here. But, you don't see any, like, direct passageways that would lead to that. And at the altar, on the other hand, you see a hatch, underneath the, what's that thing called that you put a book on and you're reading it? Not like a pedestal, I don't know. Like the pedestal
lectern?
A lectern, that's the one, thank you. Underneath the lectern, there is a, like, hatch that, you can see, like, would probably lead, I guess, like, to, like, a tunnel that would connect it to the other house behind the house, you know.
Then Ava will... I mean, I'm imagining this is heavy, so he'll probably try and just turn into a human and heave it open.
Alright. And with a creak and a crunk, it will open all up, and inside is a very well-lit stone passageway, with, like, you know, like, torches on each side of it, leading towards a, like, stepladder at the end. Very similar, although you're not with your friends, very similar to the one that your friend saw, except for this one you don't have to crawl. It's much more, like, walkable, as though this was used much more often.
Okay, then he'll turn to the others and be like, I found the passageway, but we might want to remain human so we don't scare them.
Yeah, Lydia will turn back as well. That's probably a good idea.
Your Pomeranian friend will, she'll initially be a little reluctant, but after seeing both of you do it, she'll switch back into normal form as well. And she'll clutch on tightly to, like, her, like, I would say it's like a staff and a wand, kind of like it's big enough where it could be, like, both, you know. And she'll kind of, like, clutch onto it real tight, and she'll kind of like, gesture for somebody to go first.
Ava will go first.
Okay. As you creep down the ladder, I'll have both of you guys make me religion checks.
I like the idea that we've just formed a sandwich around this poor halfling.
Oh, good.
So, Ava, in your studies, you recognized the symbol that you saw earlier as the symbol of Kalemvor, the god of, like, he's basically, like, the one that judges a soul in purgatory, in, like, the Faerunian pantheon. And decides, like, okay, these guys were good, these guys were bad, these guys are going here and there and all around. And this tunnel serves as a as symbolically as sort of like a bridge to like sort of like the holding point before, I guess, like a purgatory in a sense. So like when somebody would die in this town, and they would hold their funeral in this church, their body would be carried down through this tunnel, away from the actual building before they were taken to this building back here, which you presume would be used to like embalm and bury the corpse, which is like symbolic of the afterlife for this corpse. And this tunnel is symbolic of, like I said, like a purgatory. So that's why it's kind of laid out in this weird way. But as you creep through, you see like religious kind of imagery evoking this scene on the walls on either side of you, which is quite unsettling, but it is not covered in spider webs, not spiderwebby. And at the end, there is another wooden ladder, quite well made, leading up to a open hatch, and another kind of dark room.
While Ava was being smart about all of these cool carvings, Liddy was just kind of like glancing around and will do some introductions. I'm Liddy, and this is my friend Ava.
She, your little halfling friend, will, she'll smile, and, she'll say, I'm Maliki. I'm named after the goddess, and, I am a druid in training with the Emerald Enclave. And, I don't quite know what's happened here, but I do know that, I'm gonna find my friends and we're getting out of here.
That sounds very similar to what we're doing.
She'll nod, and again, full of hope, full of joy.
Yes. The Emerald Enclave, is that like a druid clan that I've heard of before, or
It's
is it something else
like the
entirely?
biggest, I would say it's the most widely like associated group of like druids and other like nature-loving folk who kind of patrol the Sword Coast and the North in general. They're a very big organization. And
would they have come through the High Forest before?
Oh yeah, you would have definitely.
Okay.
There might even be like an outpost for them in or around the High Forest. And their goals are to like keep the balance between like civilization and nature in check, and also to investigate any unnatural like occurrences. They're like particularly opposed to like undead and things like that. And in your guesses, because you would know quite a bit about this group, you might assume that this group came here because they heard about this vampire problem, and they might be here to solve that.
Cool.
But you see the empty, like the not empty, but you see like the hatch at the end of the tunnel is wide open, and a dark room kind of is on the other end.
I'm going to produce flame, just so I have my own source of light as I go up here, and probably call out just a little bit before, like, going up so I don't startle anyone. We're going to come up now. We are here to help if anyone's alive in there.
I would say nobody will respond, but you will feel like you'll see like the purple outline of an eye kind of glowing in the darkness from a far wall, and it's like the pupil of the eye is trained on the hatch.
Okay, and you said it was glowing?
Yes, it's glowing, like a faint purple light.
Don't like that. He'll just briefly turn back to the other two. I'm not sure that's a human's eye, so possibly be prepared for combat.
Cast Shillelagh on my staff.
Okay. Your Pomeranian friend will, I guess to prepare for combat, she'll clutch her staff even more tightly than she already is, and, I I was gonna say she changes back into a Pomeranian again, but she won't do that. Not yet. That's Plan B. Yeah, she'll just clutch her staff more tightly. Get ready for a throwdown.
Yeah, he'll lead the way. Up the hatch he goes.
Okay. And in amongst this room, you find a series of... Oh shit, it's almost fucking midnight. Holy shit. Okay, I guess we'll fucking wrap this up, and then I'll let you guys go. I didn't realize how late it was. So in amongst this room, you find a bunch of coffins, all of them, like, open and unused. And this kind of purple eye continues to watch you as you all file into the room. You know what? I'll leave you guys on the purple eye. I think I'll leave you guys on the purple eye because we have 3 minutes left to wrap up. So I think I'll leave you guys on the purple eye, and we'll come back next week. I think that's where we'll leave off. Not the best ending, but an ending nonetheless.
All right. Can you give me the halfling's name again and maybe spell it out for me?
I don't know if I gave you guys the halfling's name.
Yeah,
did.
I introduced
I know what it
myself.
Oh yeah,
She's
Maliki,
named
that's right.
after a god.
Yeah, Maliki.
Yes.
Yep, that's her name. I said it,
Maliki.
and then I fucking forgot it. Look at me. Pro DM alert. Pro DM.
I got your back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This poor scared Pomeranian is gonna find out that her friends got killed, isn't she?
Maybe. She might. She might not. Who knows?
I'm trying to remember what I told Finch to tell you guys, and I'm pretty sure it was be spiders outside the church and don't go inside.
It might have been, but
Yep. Yep. It's
Why
highly
follow the
possible.
rules? Why follow the rules when you've got a Pomeranian on your side?
I mean, it definitely was, but I figured the Pomeranian is gonna attract attention that the spiders wouldn't, so we may as well go in.
Yeah. The druid squad grows.
Alrighty, well, I'm gonna bounce because I gotta go get ready for work.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for showing up. Next week we will continue to explore the spooky, scary realm of the Shadowfell. Oh boy, oh joy.
I would just like to state that I always joke that halflings turn into Pomeranians when they get bitten by a werewolf.
Are gnomes shorter or halflings shorter?
Depends on who you ask.
I think it's halflings, but I'd have to double check.
I'm pretty sure it's halflings.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
5e,
halflings.
it's halflings, but in
I am also
everything
very
else-
short for a gnome, so
Yeah. Well, the force gnome only doesn't get any taller than 2'5", but the average gnome is taller than the average.
I always, and this is a misconception on my part, but for some reason I always imagine gnomes as like 1 foot tall.
like little garden gnomes.
Yeah.
So that means if Liddy gets lycanthropy, she'll turn into a chihuahua.
Yes.
Okay, I'm out. Bye, guys. See you next week.
Bye. Thanks for playing, everybody.
I'm gonna head out as well. Good night.
Yeah, thanks for running. It was fun. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a nice Halloween.
Bye.
Bye.
Uh,